Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the live deadline day stream. I'm joined by Callum Brannan. We're going to be going through the final 3 hours of the transfer window and possibly beyond, depending on how Everton get on in the dying embers of this transfer window, where we are still very much scrapping around for players. We had a feeling it was going to come down to this, but you can never mentally prepare yourself for these deadline days when there's actually things on the line. And like I say, I'm joined by Callum. We're also going to be joined by Paul McAllister later on in the show as well. We'll get straight into the nitty-gritty of it all as it stands. Everton have already announced the return of Idrissa Gana Gueye earlier on this afternoon. Still no official announcement of James Garner, but it looks like it's all a formality. Beyond that, though, not what we were hoping for in terms of at the top end of the pitch. We are desperate for reinforcements, and they're yet to come in any form of concrete rumours this afternoon. Callum, how are you feeling going into the final 3 hours of this window?
I don't know. I think, because Everton have had a history of deadline days of just, we're known for it now at the point where it's just, oh, shit, we forgot what we're doing. Let's get the business done on the last day possible. I think we will get a striker in, but to be honest, I think we're all going to be severely let down. I think it's going to be that fella from Russia that we've been linked with. I don't think we're going to be getting Ben Brereton or any good names like that. But the two players we have signed, well, hopefully with Garner, it looks like it's all done. I think Idrissa Gueye is obviously a fantastic player. I don't think he's lost that edge still yet. I think the PSG midfield shambles. It's hard to really judge people on how they perform in PSG's midfield. That was the entire point of that rebuilding midfield this summer. And James Garner, fantastic for Nottingham Forest. He finally gives us that midfielder who can actually ping a pass, which I think is something we've been looking for. Someone who can actually get the ball and play a line-breaking pass. He's got a lot better at that recently. The assist to Anthony Gordon against Leeds showed that. But I think that's something we have been looking out for. And I think we are going to get a striker in, but I don't think it's going to be one that's going to, blow our minds or even get us a little bit excited, to be honest with you.
You mentioned there, Callum, the guy from Russia, Erwin Koeman in the chat. He has already come in with Nicholson is staying according to his agent. That's the gentleman you're referring to there, Callum. Shamar Nicholson, he plays for Spartak Moscow. And just a reminder for anyone who, the last time we signed a striker from Russia, anyone? Just a small matter of Umani ass. So, can we not do that one, please? I haven't really got over the trauma of that one, I don't think.
It's Nias and McGeady, isn't it? Our history of signing from Russia.
Was Nias from Spartak as well? I think he was a...
Yeah, I think they were both Spartak.
Oh, Lokomotiv he was. Lokomotiv Moscow.
Oh, God. You just can't trust signing anyone from Russia. The standard of the league's terrible. It's why we haven't given bloody Gabamin a chance in midfield, It's a thing where, I don't know, I think it's the issue that we probably could have got Brereton done a few days earlier for a lot cheaper. But I think it is us waiting out for Armando Broja. I think that's what it's been, and I think that's if it doesn't happen, that's what's killed us in the end.
Is that what we're doing? Because obviously we're seeing
it feels like it.
It's getting thrown around a lot today, isn't it? About what's going on at Chelsea. It's absolute carnage at Chelsea. We've got Pierre Aubameyang coming in from Barcelona, possibly rumours about Memphis Depay, rumours about another striker I think was thrown around as well.
There's Aubameyang, Depay. I feel like there was someone else, but yeah. It's one of those where go on.
They've got Zakaria as well. I think they're getting him in on loan from Juve. I think there was definitely another big name striker, I think.
There will have been. I know, obviously, Ronaldo's agents try to get him there, but obviously Chelsea don't want none of that. I don't know. I've just been seeing a lot of... Well, I think Aubameyang's practically going to be done at some point soon, isn't it? It looks like.
Yeah, there's a lot. Apparently Rafael Leao is the other one Erwin Koeman's said.
I couldn't see that happening on deadline day. He's probably AC Milan's best player. So I don't
mean, it hasn't stopped Chelsea throwing in some bizarre offers
No,
recently.
to be honest, I thought they were going to throw in something stupid at Gordon on the last day. I thought they were just going to go, we want him, we're going to throw something stupid that Everton can't refuse, but don't look like that's going to happen. Well, saying that with Chelsea, it also won't surprise me if they do it at one of the last minutes to try and get it done. But yeah, I think it looks like the club was just waiting on Broja and hoping Chelsea signed someone a bit earlier than they did. Don't get me wrong, loan deals don't take as long to sanction as an actual permanent transfer, so there is a chance we can get it done at the last minute, but I don't know. I think this is going to end up with egg on our face, to be honest with you. Or
I'm not
us possibly, I think they'll even sign a free agent to play for, or just keep relying on Rondon after Morpay and Calvert-Lewin.
Well, that's the thing about Rondon was potentially, there was rumours about him potentially going, but I don't think that's true. Rumours about him going to somewhere in Turkey, but it looks like he'll still be here, whether we like that or not. It could end up being, dare to say, that we actually need him, and that's like, whatever happened this window, we'd like to have thought that we'd have gone into the new season not relying on Rondon. I think if we fail to bring a striker in, as good as a lot of the other business has been from us this window, I think it's got to have been a failure of a window if we don't bring in an attacker.
Yeah, it's one of those where it is exactly that. And for once, it feels like a window where Everton, when they have done business, have done really smart business. Onana, it looked like it took him a little bit of adjusting in his first two games, but then, against Leeds and the game before that against was it Fleetwood in the Cup, I think?
Yeah, Fleetwood.
Like, I know it's a League One team, but it got to the point where they didn't know what to do, so they just had to hack him. They had no idea what to do. He looks like a big, strong physical presence. Idrissa Gueye, like I said, is one of those where he's going to be a good player until that engine finally runs out. And then, who else was that? McNeil. I don't know with McNeil because I don't think we paid a lot of it up front. Wasn't it only like 5 million up front or something stupid like that?
I don't know how much it rises to, but probably like 18 or something in it.
But yeah, I think that's similar to the Dele Alli, where really is he going to get most of those? We might pay a few. We might get up to 13, 14 million, but it's one of those where I think the business we have done when we've done it smart, but then you look at the injury record of this team, you can't rely on a lot of these players. Calvert-Lewin is, a fantastic player, but a walking sick note at this point. He's constantly injured. He'll come back, have maybe a good stretch of games, and then get injured again. And then it's one of those where can we really rely on Neil Maupay and Solomon Rondon to keep us up? I actually like Neil Maupay. I think he's a good player. I like the type of player that he is. He reminds me of a very old Everton signing in the sense that he'll wind everyone else up. He'll get on people's nerves, and he can score big goals. He showed that for Brighton. But then what happens if he gets injured? It's Solomon Rondon again. And look at how this season starts. Frank would rather start 3 wingers than Solomon Rondon.
Yeah, I mean, that says it all in itself. But if we haven't got a striker, then there's got to be ramifications here because, I'm sure, like, as someone said, like, if we don't get a striker, it's going to turn a lot of fans against, not the club, not the manager as such, because the manager's had his hands tied for a large part of this transfer window. I feel like anything that's kind of gone wrong this window, he still can't really attribute that to Frank Lampard because he's been working like with his hands tied behind his back at times here.
Yeah, with the money we've had, he's worked very well with. Obviously we paid.
Yeah, definitely.
We paid a big chunk of it on Onana, but he looks like the real deal so far. Already, look at how well spoken he is. How he's a bit rash, but that's going to come with development. That's going to come with more games played in the league. That's something that will just go away with time, and it'll improve his decision making. But you look at what he's been, and I think a lot of people are saying it. The game against Leeds not making a substitute, there was a reason for it. It was his way of going, look what I've got to work with. What am I supposed to do here? He's done a good job getting rid of the deadwood too. Fabian Delph's gone. Audrey Gomez has gone. Players along that line have gone.
Is Gomez a done deal yet, though? Because
I think it's a loan. And his medical's done. So I think it's just the same lines of us with Gana Gueye, and because Gana Gueye's basically been done since yesterday. It's just one of those where the club might be sorting some sort of announcement video. If I have a look here and see if I've gone Leal's Twitter, they may have announced it, but I'm not too sure. I mean, it looked all done. It doesn't look like they've announced it so far, but I can't see why it'd fall through now. Fonseca wanted him personally, I think. So I think it was one of those where, I mean, it would surprise me if it didn't end up going through.
Yeah, it's definitely. It'd be a good deal for us to get him out the door. Is it a loan? Is it?
I think it's a loan. I can imagine the way we're going. It's a loan with either an option or an obligation. But the thing is, in a league like France, I think Gomez will do well enough to the point where he'll get signed. He fits that sort of league perfectly where he can play that role he wants. He don't have the physicality of playing the Premier League. I think he did show promise before the injury. He showed some potential to be a good midfielder, but then I just think he never adapted to the game, and I just think his style of play didn't really suit. And you've seen it with quite a lot of players who come in and try to play this, not lackadaisical or not even lazy, but this pick and pass. Their job is just there to ping the pass, to dribble forward, and then they don't really contribute much besides that. I think unfortunately that didn't work out for him. The injury didn't help his case probably, and he was never really going to get to play that football under the managers we've had. So I think it's the best course of option to get rid of him. And then, even like we did with Morgan Schneiderlin, where we sold him for practically nothing, I'd rather us get rid of him and then get his huge wages off the books than just keep him there for the sole purpose of, well, we paid a lot of money for him.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to cut your losses.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I will give to Everton. They've done decently well as of this summer. They've got rid of a lot of the dead wood, a lot of the failed transfers. And hopefully now, when we move into next summer, because I think that's when we're going to see Everton spend money. I think it is going to be next summer. You've got I believe that's when we get the Moise Kean money in from Juventus. And, then we'll have a lot of wages off the books. Obviously, there is the chance of next summer, if Gordon has another good season, that is when Gordon goes, but it's one of those where I think it's this summer. It almost feels like now it's just to get the foundation players in, your Codys, your Tarkovskis and stuff like that. And then maybe you'll see the fancy options coming next summer, unless they can surprise us in this last 3 hours. But I don't expect to be surprised. I expect Garner to be announced. And at the rate it's going, I don't even expect a striker to be announced, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's looking pretty bleak now for strikers. I think like I say, there's less than 3 hours of this window to go, and yeah, nothing's really coming through. Brogy's trending on Twitter, but obviously Fabrizio Romano said that he's open to a loan, but we're waiting on Chelsea to do their business first there, and then that's delaying us. Rumours about Ben Brereton as well. You said there Fulham have pulled out of the running for him. We apparently have made an inquiry, but apparently it's around 12 million and Blackburn were about 20. So we're well short.
I know he's a Chile international and stuff, but this isn't Chile with Alexis Sanchez, Arturo Vidal, Claudio Bravo when they had a good team and they were winning, Copa Americas. This is the aftermath of Chile. They're crap, to put it nicely. They're a championship level national team, maybe even lower. There's a reason Ben Brereton stands out, and I think he's a good player. He's still young, he'll still develop. But you look at Adam Armstrong for Southampton. Has he been worth the big money they paid for him? Not even close.
Yeah, he went for 15 last year.
Yeah, and he was at Blackburn too. Who was the standout at Blackburn when they were both there? It's one of those where I don't want to risk 20 million on a lad who's got the potential. Don't get me wrong. If we find a way to do it with add-ons, where if he scores a certain amount of goals, does a certain amount of something, then I'm fine with it. But it's one of those where I just think it's going to end up in disappointment. And 15 million, like Owen says, I don't think it's awful. But with the situation we're in, the difference between 15 and 20 million is massive right now in the situation we're in.
There we are. Toffee Blues was actually clarified on that one. That Broja quote is fake.
Have you seen
So
the Have you seen the Nabry one?
I heard something about that, but
One,
that was that unrealistic that I didn't really take that one seriously, even before I checked. I didn't even bother checking on that.
yeah,
But
one Twitter accounts. He's managed to convince. I think he ended up getting it trending. I think just saying, "Oh yeah, Everton have asked about Serge Gnabry." You know, not even saying we've paid money. All right, we've just saying we've asked Bayern if they could do us a favour. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It is. There's always one on deadline day though. There's always one really out there transfer that makes zero sense that somehow still manages to get trending on Everton Twitter.
I think there's many a different one that could be that could be anyone on this even because it's just I think the radio silence from the club has just sort of left it so open to people playing absolute guesswork really and
Well, I'm just thinking, was it not like this when we signed Digne, Mina, and Gomez, where it was really quiet
I
on deadline day and then it was just bang, bang, bang? I remember one of them where it was really quiet and then we ended up signing 3 or 4 players. It was either the Digne Mina one or it was the Ducore. Who was it? It was Ducore, the first Ancelotti summer, I think. Who was it? It was Ducore. Before that, it was
it,
Ducore, someone
it was
else,
more
someone
than
else.
likely that it was the one with I think you're on about the one with Mina Gomez
Yeah,
and
Digne. We all announced.
Dina was already in, but it was Mina, Gomez, and Bernard,
Bernard, that was it. Sorry.
and then we got Zuma on loan when we weren't expecting to either.
But yeah, it was just. I don't know what you know. It could be any of these years. You know, Lenny said it happened in 2013. Martinez, Barry, and Rom on loan. You know, I'd kill for a striker like Rom on loan right now. You know,
Jesus,
I'm,
give me half of Lukaku, and we'll
yeah, but it's one of those we're gonna end up with somewhere. You know, and it's not gonna be. We've got a Blackburn fan here. Oh, got some news for you here. Sky Sports Premier League have just tweeted Aubameyang arriving for his medical with Chelsea, so that could be promising. I'm just hoping it's one of those where we speak to Chelsea and go, if Aubameyang signs, can we get this done as soon as he's signed? Just because obviously a loan deal, it's one of those where does the player want it? Do the clubs want it? Cool, we can get that done quickly. But I don't see it. Gibbo asked if Chukwueze's still on. Don't think so. I think it'll be a miracle if he signs, in my opinion. An absolute
I think
miracle.
that was absolute nonsense. That whole story.
Yeah, probably. No, because Fabrizio Romano didn't tweet about it. Did he? No, I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did.
I don't know where that came from. I'm kind of glad it's not happening, even though he's a very good player and he would have added to our team. I think a loan with a 40 million almost by obligation would have been
If
disastrous
he flopped, yeah.
disastrous business for us when we're still only just getting out of the mire with FFP as we speak.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it didn't look as bad because obviously when you do think about it, you have got the Keane money coming in. So, you know, if you want to be technical, we're paying 10 million for him. But like I said, I don't think he's a 40 million player. I think, don't get me wrong, I do think we were trying to negotiate it. But I've got more of a feeling that we heard 40 million from them and went, no, yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah. But I don't
Which
know, part of me was, dreaming, and it was a dream that we would have been able to get someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi in or something like that. But he's gone to Leverkusen, and I can guarantee you now he's going to end up being one of the best wingers in that league this season.
who's
And
gone to
we're going to be,
Leverkusen?
yeah, he's gone to Leverkusen on loan.
Who, Chukwueze?
No, Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Oh, Hudson-Odoi, yeah.
Because that's what I thought. If we got rid of Gordon and got rid of the money, he was a player I thought would just come straight in. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a quiet end, and I hope the club prove me wrong. But I'm intentionally going in with low standards, so then if it even is something absolutely crap, it feels a bit better than nothing.
Well, with the exception of that 2018 summer with the Bernard and Gomez, whatnot, every window under the machine since Machiri came in has been really underwhelming on deadline day. So you'd be right to set the bar as low as you possibly can. Blackburn ends asking about Diaz. He's made a good point here. I don't know why we're not selling him. He's going for free next summer. Unless I don't know what they're expecting to happen. Whether he's going to sign a new contract. It's looking like he's trying to edge for a move to the Premier League or a top league.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those where I could see a Sevilla or something taking him in January on a free, you know. It's one of those where I think, I don't know what Blackburn are doing because, you know, Blackburn, you know, I've been looking, but I don't, have you been looking very good from what I've seen at the table? It's just been a bit, you know, man, I remember last season where it looked like they actually had a chance of getting promoted when they were on that ridiculous run of form before the international break and then Brereton got injured. But yeah, I think it's just one of those where you look at it and you go, we could look back at this at the end of the year and go, if we signed a striker, we might have been in a much better position than we're in because, you know, I hate to say it right now, it looks like we're going to be in another relegation fight. And don't get me wrong, you know, you look at there's flashes. You know, you look at the goal against Leeds. We actually made it look like the club can play good football for a second. You know, Iwobi, I don't know which Leeds player it was, turned him out of his skin at one point. Iwobi, you know, we found out he had end product playing that through ball over to Gordon. Gordon's been scoring goals as of recently, but are those goals going to keep coming? I don't think so. Don't get me wrong, I think he's going to have an improvement on last season, quite a big improvement, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be the goals that we need to possibly keep us up unless Calvert-Lewin comes straight back and, you know, fires like that season under Ancelotti. But then, you know, it's a lot of ifs right now, and I think that's why we need someone in.
Blackburn and said would not be surprised if you got Diaz in January because of desperation.
We can't get him, I don't think. If I'm correct, they have to be 24 or over for an English club to sign them in January. And I think Ben's 23. 23.
Is that a rule? Is it?
I think it is a real rule, yeah. I think English clubs can't sign. So, for example, I think it's like, you know, for example, Anthony Gordon, if he wouldn't have signed his contract, another English club couldn't have taken him. It has to be a foreign club.
It's 20. Rule,
it's 24 or 23, or it might be a bit less than that. But yeah, he won't be 24 by the time of January. So it is April, Blackburn, and I've got it up here. But yes, I think that's right. Don't hold me up on that, but I don't know why that's in my head. But I think that's right. And apparently, 15 minutes ago, let me try find the source on this article. Says that we tabled a bid for Ben Brereton. It might be that someone's got their article out a bit late, but you know, yeah, we don't really care. Can you just? Yeah, I think it's apparently we might have made him our number one target. I mean, but like I said, I don't think so. You know, I think it's going to be typical Everton, in my opinion. We've seen it before. We know what this club does at this point. You know, but I hope we're wrong. But you know, Moss puts here, there isn't a magical striker that you're going to find that will guarantee goals. Any player we were going to bring into the league will always be a gamble. You are right, Moss, but I'd rather have the gamble than Solomon Rondon, which is a guaranteed failure. You know, I'd rather gamble on the source, Gibbo. It wasn't anything fantastic. I think it was just, you know, one of those, like a fan site that's just got their article out a bit late or something like that. That's all I think it was. Because it looks like a lot of the similar stuff we were seeing about an hour ago. So, yeah, I think it's one of those where, you know, I just don't know. I'm trying to just scroll. I'm just scrolling through Everton Twitter and trying to find some sort of news, but it's just the same old stuff we've been seeing, really.
Yeah, there's not a lot of movement in terms of no new rumours have sort of emerged in the last couple of hours. I think, yeah, Aubameyang's doing his medical at Chelsea as we speak, so you're hoping that there's a bit of a domino effect there, and maybe we get Brozier, but again,
there is a chance it does happen. It wouldn't surprise me with the way this transfer window especially has gone. It really wouldn't surprise me if one move suddenly snaps 4 or 5 clubs into action.
Yeah, it's just really painful to sort of still be sweating over our most important area to strengthen with 2.5 hours left. It's Everton in a nutshell, though, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? It is Everton. Knowing us, we'll end up somehow signing 4 players. And then it'll be, oh, see, we are something stupid like that, where they give us an heart attack and then they announce 4 players every 15 minutes for the last. They announce 1 player every 15 minutes until the end of the deadline. It'd be the most Everton thing I've ever seen.
Try and do just to play on everyone's nerves.
I'm convinced the admins just like to give us a heart attack on purpose.
Well, whatever he does, he's succeeding if he's going to give us all a heart attack at this rate.
Gibbo said, "Have we even got Garner?" Yeah, I think it's all done, Gibbo. I think they're just filming all the, the stuff you film for it. They're filming his interview to get out. They'll be making a little package for him and stuff like that. I think that's all it is. There's been videos of him at the ground. If as long as his medical hasn't gone wrong, I think it could be one of those where I think it's just waiting on the club to announce it. And maybe, hopefully, the club's putting it off for a reason, announcing it. But I don't think it is. I just think the club's getting his interview together and editing his video together and stuff like that. I think that's all it is.
Yeah, it's usually all that, but half of you just like them to crack on and let us all know about it, wouldn't you?
To be honest, I don't really care about the fancy graphics and stuff, the 3D effects and stuff like that. Just announce a signing,
Get a photograph of them holding the shirt and crack on.
Yeah, you can make a graphic the next day. We're still going to be excited about it if it's a good signing.
Yeah, then at least we'll all be alive to actually see it rather than all collapsing from the nerves.
Here we go. 17 seconds ago, EFC Daily on Twitter. James Garner is still at Finch Farm. Denise Barrett-Baxendale has just left Finch Farm. Many people working hard to finalise details inquiries that have been made from Ben Barrett and Diaz. That's from Sky Sports. So I think it's one of those where maybe it looks like it looks like Garner's going to happen, but Ben Brereton, on the other hand, it might be one of those where the club just has to suck it up and pay the money.
I mean, I'll take anyone at this stage.
But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm yet to see anything that's inspired me anyway.
No, not even close. I do think the Garner deal is very good, though. I think it's like a 20% sell-on fee, but then we're paying pennies for, someone who could probably start for United, especially over McTominay. If McTominay's still going to get minutes for that team, which I think, he's starting tonight, I think. Obviously, I don't think that'll be for long. I think that's, he's just there until Casemiro's ready to go. But yeah, honestly, I'm happy with our transfers as is. I don't know. I don't trust Dominic Calvert-Lewin's injury history. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I like Neil. If you just put every transfer we did and you said, just ignore what you could have done and stuff like that, just these players, would you be happy with? Yeah, 100%. Looking at the players we've seen, 100%, I'm happy with the players we've brought in. But, everyone, especially in the world of football, you can always want more. It's that thing where the position we're in, with Calvert-Lewin's history, don't get me wrong, I think Calvert-Lewin's a fantastic player, and I think if Calvert-Lewin can stay fit, he'll 100% be able to score the goals that not even just keeps us up, but fires us maybe towards even mid-table. But it's one of those where, is he going to do that? Don't really know.
I'm not confident about that, and we need a little insurance policy, to be honest, because between like Calvert-Lewin, Mope, we do need one more, because like you say, you don't really want to be turning to Rondon, whether he stays or he goes.
The fella had Fleetwood players calling him a non-league footballer.
Was that actually true, or was that just lost in translation, or was that
I hope
genuine?
not. I'm not going to ruin it for myself. I'm going to say it's true.
I mean, not many people would disagree, I don't think. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just trying to find something, anything.
I'm scouring social media, scouring the Echo, anything, just looking for some sort of hope.
Oh God, Ross Barkley's trending. That's what he's going to be in it.
Oh no, please
He's
no.
terminated his contract, hasn't he?
Yeah, like you say, if the window closes and we haven't got anyone, they're going to bring him in, aren't they?
Yeah. Everton's current signings out of 5: Tarkovsky, Vinagre, Cody, Onana, Gay, Morpia. What do you mean as like a collective or each one? I can do both if you want. I mean
Yeah.
Tarkovsky 4 or Vinagre 3. No, Vinagre. I'll give Vinagre 2.5 because I can't judge the fella yet. You know, he was okay at Wolves. Cody, I gave Tarkovsky a 4. I'll give Cody a 4 too, because I think Cody's been very impressive when he's played. Onana, controversially, I'm going to give him a 5 because, you know, I don't know. I think the guy's going to be a player. I think he's going to be a player unless, you know, he gets annihilated. But he looks like a player already. He looks like he's got all the tools to be a top midfielder. And, you know, it's one of those where it makes the club actually look like we've got ambition. You know, he is. If you listen to the things people from France were saying, top midfielder, some of the comparisons he would get into some of the players, then, you know, absolutely fantastic. I'll give him a 5. Just again, I'll give a 4 too because, you know, I think he is going to contribute and I do think his legs are still around to still be a good level CDM to still. I'm not expecting like what was it where he got like 150 tackles or something stupid like that in a season, and where he's got the most tackles of any player for Everton since 2016, and he hasn't played for us for 2 or 3 years or something stupid like that, and he's still topped by like 150. They showed it on Sky earlier, and then Morpay 3 as well. I'd say, yeah, Morpay's one where Morpay's a player that I like, where he's also, you know, he's not exactly an end product machine, is he? You know, he's not. But he is also that player that can get big goals, and I think that is something we're crying out for.
I go with similar. Tarkowski, I'd give a 4. Vinagre, a 3. Not done terribly so far, but not enough to see, like you say. Cody, yeah, he's probably worthy of a 4. I'd say Anana, 4. Idris Agana Gay, 4. Mopay, 3. We haven't really seen any of Mopay yet, so it's hard to gauge that either.
Bank
Obviously, I
holidays.
haven't mentioned James Garner in that list if he is actually
That's a
confirmed.
4 as well. I think, you know, you
Decent
look.
signing.
Yeah, I think we've robbed Man United. I think we've robbed them
Really?
blind. Yeah, because the thing is, you look at the midfield options. They've got, you know, Casemiro's going to be good for a few years, but he's ancient. Scott McTominay genuinely won't start in our midfield now. The guy's terrible. Fred's not a 6, he's an 8. Van der Beek, I think Van der Beek's the same. He's not 6, he's an 8. And then you look at they're just missing a player. And don't get me wrong, I think Garner's an 8 too, but we've just signed a really good 6, and we've still got Alan, who, don't get me wrong, I don't think him and Frank get on, but it's not like it's not like Alan's never going to play. I'd hope Frank gives him some chances, but then obviously Onana, Iwobi. I think we are switching to a 4-3-3. I think it's written in the stars.
I hope so because we
I
looked
don't think the
far
three at the
better.
back's been as bad as I expected, but at the same time, you know, I think
I
the
think
4-3-3 just suits the players we have so much more.
much more, and I just can't stand 3 at the back. I think it's painful to watch.
Yeah, I think it's the thing where we get beaten too much in midfielders. If we had more quality in midfield, I think we could pull it off. But, you know, maybe in a year or two time where Onana's fully developed and a player and Garner's developed, yeah, when we've got players who can actually Annie Warby, you know, but don't get me wrong, I do like the 3 at the back in the sense of that it gives a player like Iwobi space to move in. and he's shown how well he can move in that space, how well he can get around players. But I still think it's one of those where we need to play that 4-3-3, especially now that we've got this many midfielders.
Yeah, definitely. And the midfielders are actually capable of dominating the midfield if a game was really getting quite frenetic in the middle. We've got a bit more physicality there now. It's a bit more dynamic, and by God, we've needed that.
Yeah, we've been desperate for it. We haven't had a good midfield since God knows when. Even when Idrissa Gueye was here, who did we have? We had Gay. Yeah, it was like Gay. Rooney played there for a bit, didn't he? God, yeah.
Schneiderlin,
Yeah,
Sigurdsson.
It was still crap. I genuinely don't think we've had a good midfield probably since the Moyes days. Maybe McCarthy, Barry was good when we finished 5th. I feel like we had someone else as well. Gareth Barry was very good for the price we got him at. Since that first Martinez season, we haven't had a really good midfield.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say, I think that McCarthy, sort of Barry, Idrissa Gueye, like Koeman's first season was probably the last time we had a decent midfield. I think since then it's been very threadbare. Garner probably papered over the cracks a bit, and then as soon as he left, it's just been horrid in the midfield ever since.
When you're like he was, bloody hounding everyone down single-handedly by himself and winning bloody 5 or 6 tackles a game or something. Well, I think, what did he get? He got like 120 one season. So he averaged something daft, like in 6-7 tackles a game. It's ridiculous. I don't ever think he was world class for us, but it's world class output. But it was that much because he was single-handedly, I think, to defend in midfield for us. So it's one of those where, it's just I don't know, to be honest. I think it is one of those where, someone's put here on Twitter, Everton are keeping the Garner announcement in case we don't make another signing. That's what it might be. It genuinely might be to paper over the cracks.
I mean, you just wouldn't put it past this club.
Oh no,
it's just painful. To go back to the Martin Kowalski there, what's the latest on financial fair play?
we're fine, aren't we?
We're getting there now. I think provided we don't spend stupid money in the dying minutes of this window, I think we'll be in a much healthier position. As I think Toffee Blues has just reiterated there, we should be in a much better position to spend next year. But I think we need to sort of take a leaf out of the book that we've written this summer. I think we have been a lot smarter with the recruitment. We haven't brought in everything we wanted, and unfortunately the strikers could be costly if we don't. But beyond that, the players we've recruited so far have been more promising than the summers before. So you just got to hope that it's going to start getting us back on the up.
Yeah, I just don't see it as a likely thing. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but it's just not looking good, really. I don't think, we're just. I think we're going to be. It's going to be last season all over again. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult end to the window. There's some news there. Gerassi's gone to Stuttgart on loan. He was another striker who was linked with us. Plays for Rennes. He's now gone to Stuttgart on loan, so another one off the list.
One by one, they're all going.
Martin Kowalski again. Any news on Chukwueze?
I don't think so. I can have a look for you, but I don't think so.
That came and went very, very quickly, didn't it? I think the Chukwueze.
Oh yeah, I think it came, and then it was, oh, by the way, 40 million, and then whoop, Everton are like, yep, can't do that. Never mind. Yep.
Yeah,
That's how it felt anyway.
Yeah, it's just checking for more info, but nothing really interesting's coming through as of yet.
I think it's one of those where it'll get to the point of the stream where, we're just, where is this guy reliable? Fraser Fletcher. I don't know if he's reliable.
He's been posting a lot today.
Yeah, I've seen him around a lot. I think he's just a student. I think he's in the same boat as me, but I'm going to read out anyway. But he says, latest I've been told, Chukwueze deal still possible for Everton. Been working with intermediaries. You won't think I got a university in Spain to try push through. Will be very, very tight. I mean, so it's maybe, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. I think, it's just late. I've been told, for all we know, he's just been told chat shit on Twitter, He might be right, but knowing Everton will get it all signed and then have everything, it will get it all done and it'll be a minute late.
No, that's Everton for you. But really, we should be focusing on an out-and-out striker, personally, I think.
That's why I like... That's why I like Brereton. That's why I like Brereton. It's at least he can play up front as well. He's a winger and a striker, so he's one of those where he can fit both roles quite well. He's a natural striker, but he's probably arguably played his best football on the left wing for Blackburn. So it's one of those where you do look at it and go, well, he'd be perfect for us, because then at least when Calvert-Lewin comes back, if he's doing really well, he still slots in the side.
Yeah, I think that's. I think it's a clever one, Brereton, because like you say, he covers a lot of bases. I think Brogy's a bit more of an out-and-out striker. If we were to go after him, I think again I wouldn't be against that. There was rumours about that Cody Gakpo as well, but that would have been nice. I think a bit more expensive, but again, he's
only
another
25 million though. And
I mean,
weren't they asking Arsenal for 40, 45 last season? Or something like that.
Not sure, but I think he's another one he could have played anywhere across the front three. So
yeah,
again, you couldn't complain about that. I think Chukwueze being a 5'7", 5'8" winger, left-footed as well, so similar in mould. Probably like he's a different style of winger, but he's an inverted right winger on his left foot, similar to McNeil in that sense. Different in terms of attributes, but I don't think he's what we'd have needed, even though he is a very good player, and I think he'd do well here. For that kind of money, it just isn't viable.
He'd have to come in and instantly be, probably the best winger we've had since what? We haven't had many good wingers as well, to be honest with you. Probably since Richarlison's more of a foreign player, so the best out-and-out winger since God knows when. Since God knows when. For 40 million. Owen says João Pedro was the one. To be honest with you, I only think we were rumoured with João Pedro because, Brazilian from Watford. That's it. No, it's our recruitment team. We've just looked, he's been compared to Richarlison, signed him. That's all I think it was. I think he's a fantastic player, but I do think Pedro probably needs a full season in the Championship or even we are a lower Premier League team now, to be fair. So I think this season in the Championship will really help him. I really do.
Yeah, that's João Pedro.
The Watford one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with him because I think he would have been good for us, but again, I'm not sure if he's the right mould of striker out. I feel like we're better off getting someone big and physical up top because it's the attributes of Calvert-Lewin and also Richarlison, who was also not short of the, he wasn't wanting to shake the physical duels. I think we need someone like that who
I think
can
Morpay is a physical player, but he's physical in the area that he'll get stuck in. He's not afraid to,
mentality wise, yeah, but he's not an imposing figure.
no,
He's about
if he
5'8",
comes,
5'9".
yeah, if he comes against a massive centre back, don't get me wrong, I think he's quite strong for his size, but the strongest centre backs in the league will just bounce him. They'll bounce him off. Watkins from Villa would be great, falling out with Gerrard. I think he'd cost too much money. They paid 31 million for him. Are they really willing to take a loss? And you look at the position Villa are in the league right now, are they really going to, even if we offered them 35, 40 million, are they really going to do that? No, because they're going to look at us and go, is that a good idea? We've got to rely on Danny Ings, whose knees are made of glass, to score our goals. And who else have they got up front?
I'm not too sure, but I know Watkins won't be a goer anyway. I think in terms of
No, not.
attributes, Mopay is actually quite similar in terms of how he plays to Watkins. I think they're both that sort of on the shoulder striker, so I can't see us going after him after spending the money on Mopay. It's got to be a different type of, a different sort of profile of player that we need. I think
It's
someone,
got
like I
to
say,
be
with
just like you said, it's just an out and out backup to Calvert Lewin. I'm not asking for a big physical target man because I think, to be honest with you, Calvert Lewin's a lot more than that. But I think we just need someone who can. We like to cross the ball. We like to hoof it from the goal kick to the forward. Pickford can do that. We just need someone like that. We've been relying on bloody Anthony Gordon to do it. And don't get me wrong, he's trying, but he's not built to be doing it. It's ridiculous.
we need, like I say, it's got to be someone in profile similar to Richarlison, because Richarlison did a good job of filling in whenever Calvert Lewin was injured. He was the one who'd fill in, and he did a decent job of it. We need someone with those sort of attributes again who can play. Martin Kowalski saying we play with one up front. Who wants to play second fiddle to DCL? Well, the point
I think
is,
Morpay would. I think the thing is, I think Morpay is the type of player where eventually it will be some form of two striker formation, maybe a 4-4-2 or something. Or, I think it'll be one of those where Morpay, he probably can play on the wing, but I'd prefer not to if we're going to play 4-3-3 because we're going to cross a lot. I think it would have to, I don't know, but it is a good point who would want to play back up to Calvert-Lewin, but it also might be the fact that we can convince them because we can go, look at his injury history. You're going to get a lot more minutes than you think playing back up. Because even if Calvert-Lewin, it's going to get to the point where even if Calvert-Lewin picks up like a little knock in a game where it's not even too serious, it wouldn't surprise me if then he gets benched for the next game just to avoid the risk at this point.
it's very possible, but also I think the point of bringing in someone as well as Calvert-Lewin and Mopay is that we just need different dimensions, and I think someone of that sort of Richarlison style who could play anywhere across the front three, has a bit of physicality about them. I think the most suitable one out of all of them would probably be Brennan Diaz.
Yeah, I think he has that physicality about his game. I think he's quite tall as well. Let me tell you quickly. I think
He's not 6'2". I think he's not
yeah,
sniffed that.
he's a big lad. He can win headers and stuff. So it's one of those where he's got that technical ability about him too. I don't think bags of it, but it's one of those where you look at it and go, well, what are we going to do? Because I think it's at this point, I do think we are relying and basically preying on getting Broyer in a lot. But then is Broyer going to want to play second fiddle? He'll want to develop to be, possibly getting chances in next season. They are desperate for a striker. Aubameyang's getting up there in age. Broyer might look at Chelsea and go, if I have one good loan season where I'm consistently playing first team football, a year or two's time, I'm taking Aubameyang's place because I think Lukaku's done at Chelsea, to be honest with you.
No, Lukaku ain't coming back there. But for us, I think Broyer, you say he'll be second fiddle to Calvert-Lewin, but will he though? Because I think at this point it could well be a case of Calvert-Lewin being second fiddle to Broyer.
If Broyer, don't get me wrong, if we sign Broyer today, get him in for the derby and Broyer bangs two in and we win, we're going to have to look at it and go, because that's the problem, with the derby. If we sign a striker, I'm not as worried as I usually am. I think we'll still lose. Don't get me wrong, we always lose, but that midfield battle, who they've got, Elliot, Henderson, and who is anyone back?
I've no idea. To be honest, mate, for once, I'm not looking too much into the derby. I'm just trying to. I'm focused on the here and now and trying to get these players in. And whatever happens in the derby, it's about regrouping after that and then getting whatever players we have got in settled in and ready to go after that international break.
Yeah, I think it is one of those though, isn't it? Where if we can get a win against Arthur, sorry, yeah, they've just signed his crap. You know, he's going to have a worldie against us now, but the fella's not good. You know,
Has he actually signed for Liverpool, Arthur?
I think so. But it's the thing is where when we were linked with Arthur, I was a bit, really. And now I think Liverpool have just panicked and they've just. I think it's Juventus have gone to them and gone, we've got a midfielder for you here. So it's one of those where like it's. I know obviously you're saying we look past it, but this feels like a Merseyside derby you can win. And if our first win of the season is a Merseyside derby, it's quite the confidence booster going into the games afterwards. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool have looked. They don't look the same. I don't think they're even going to be in the title race, to be honest with you. I think it's Man City's and Man City's only. I think Arsenal are going to put up a bit of a fight for a little bit. Then they're going to drop off. Spurs will put up a fight for a little bit. Then they'll drop off. And it's just going to be like usual, Man City at the top. I could even see Liverpool finishing fourth, possibly even fifth. It's one of those where, you look at the injuries. And I do think the injuries have taken apart. But I think it is just one of those where you look at it and go, the position they're in right now, it doesn't look like a good situation. They're getting Newcastle are coming and almost beating them at Anfield. Arguably should have beaten them at Anfield. Then you look at a team like Fulham. Fulham took it to them, and you look at losing to that Man United team. And don't get me wrong, look like they are starting to turn it around now. But this is. It looks like, and don't get me wrong, knowing our look, Liverpool will beat us and then go on a 30-game unbeaten run. But it looks like a beatable team, and a derby win can be a real confidence booster. I think it can be a real look. We can compete with the top team, lads, sort of thing. So, and I don't think we do that with just Neil Maupay. And if Neil Maupay gets tired, Solomon Rondon up front.
It's I'm not that confident at all about the derby. I think all the other teams you mentioned there have got more cohesive teams than we have. We still haven't got the personnel to trouble them the way other teams have been able to. I think if this derby was a couple of months later, then we might have a good chance. But
Yeah, that's come back across.
It's not, even if we get the players in that we need, which is not guaranteed at this stage. I don't think it's settled enough for us to trouble them. But even then, I'm not confident we're going to get these players at this stage.
You look at like Forest look like they're going to sign Michy Batshuayi, and it's going to wind me up. Like, I don't think he's a fantastic player, but if they bring him in for a stupidly cheap price, I then look at that and go, well, we could have done that. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not the best player going, but he's a much better backup than Solomon Rondon, a much, much better backup than Solomon Rondon.
Yeah, I mean, Batshuayi, it's one of them. You don't really want to be getting them in for the sake of it, but I'd definitely be disappointed with Batshuayi. But it's a tough one because no striker at all, like you say, is a struggle for at least half a season. They've got to pull the finger out.
I think, like I said, I think we've just left it too late. I think the club were relying on hoping Chelsea signed an out-and-out striker before they did, and then we would have got Broja, and now here we go. Some guy called Elliot Jackson, who is a Blackburn Rovers reporter. Ben Barrett and Diaz will not be joining Everton. The figures mentioned are too far apart between the clubs. So
that one
I think that looks like that's gone. And so now what? Unless someone literally has to come out of nowhere at this point, I think that's what it has to be.
Yeah, I'm not confident.
Not at all. Not at all. I think I could see it. But the thing is, if we do sign a striker, I could also see us getting very desperate now.
But whatever happens, we've got to stand firm in terms of the FFP, and whatever happens, don't make the wrong decision and like spend too much money
No, not at
on
all.
someone. Just don't spend the money on someone who isn't cut. Well, even if they do cut the mustard, just don't put us in the financial mire for another summer next year by messing the FFP figures up, just for the sake of a player
Yeah.
who is a very, very short term fix and basically a panic buy.
The only striker that's available I can see on free transfers right now is Diego Costa.
Diego Costa.
That's it. And he is a nutter. A certified nutter.
He's a very ancient nutter as well.
He's a loon. Imagine him in the same squad as players like Alex Iwobi and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He will flip his lid in training. That is guaranteed released within 6 weeks.
What, like there'll be some sort of training ground bust up or something.
Yeah, like I'm looking at even the players we could get in on a free. Grilic gone to Ajax. Denier, don't need another centre back. Ross Barkley, no. Aurier, no. This guy, don't know who he is. Zagadou, I mean, I remember everyone highly rated him, but he's a centre back. I mean, if we want to go full banter club and just accept it at this point, we could bring Sidibe back. If we're just going to accept that this club is doomed.
Jibril Sidibe's available again, do you say?
Yeah. Jibril Sidibe up front.
Put him up top.
And Marcelo from Real Madrid's available. Let's just sign him and play him up front at this point. We're getting desperate.
Yeah, rumours about him going to Leicester, apparently.
Yeah, I think it broke down. Yeah, it's like... even looking at our options, like if I got a striker now and look at the options we'd have if we don't end up signing anyone, it would be Diego Costa, someone called Nicolas de Preville from France, Mate Vidra, who played for Burnley, Mbakani, if you remember him from Hull.
My God.
You know, Josip Ilicic available. I don't know what.
Ilicic is available.
Yeah, but I don't know how he did at Atlanta, and obviously something happened, didn't there, with like his family or something, and he ended up like does he have stats from last season? Did he play? But Amado Broya has asked Chelsea if he could go out on loan, according to someone close to Chelsea. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up going to somewhere besides us. You know, it really wouldn't. You know, at the rate we're going. Can I get last season up? Yeah, here you go, 21-22. When it eventually loads. I mean, he played 20 goals and got 3 goals. 20 games and got 3 goals, 4 assists. It's not the best, but at the same time, I think he'd fit the profile. If we're that desperate, I'd rather have him than most other players on this list.
I would certainly. I'd actually take Mate Vidra out of some of those ones, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think he's actually half decent.
He's quick, you know. At least he's one of those where if he came off the bench, he might trouble someone. But yeah, it is just God, because you know it's nothing specials available, and you know you look at it and
It's
go,
very, very, very bottom of the barrel stuff we're scraping here, isn't it?
yeah, it is, you know, it's very, very, you know, Norwich. It feels, you know,
God.
but we're in a similar boat to those clubs now. To be completely honest with you, we're in the exact same boat as those clubs now, and it's horrible to think about.
We've got to get something in immediately.
Yeah, I think we've got to just go. Listen, Chelsea would take all Broly's wages. We'll do this. Just give us him.
Jimmy.
It's just we've got to at this point. And he's, you know what, for a big lad, he's good with his feet as well. But even you look at all the teams around us, even or what used to be around us. You look at your Newcastles, your Villas. You know, Villa have been crap, but I think that's solely due to the manager. I think they get a decent manager in, they'll fly up the league, to be honest with you. Look at the players they have.
You surprised at how poorly Gerrard's done there?
No, I always knew we were crap, to be honest with you. You know, Frank could have done the same at Rangers, to be honest with you. It's like Frank might have even done better at Rangers. And I to be honest with you, I love Frank as the player, and I like that he's, you know, we've finally got a manager with a pair of balls to stand up to the board. But he's not exactly a master tactician, is he? You know, if you had to put him as actual managerial ability in the league, be quite low down there. He's a motivate manager. And don't get me wrong, that's what we need right now. But it's a simple matter of fact that Gerrard comes across as someone who just very much tried to. Don't get me wrong, Lampard might come across the same boat to some people, but very much using his name value as a player to coast a managerial career. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to put down his achievements at Rangers, but look at Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. It's got him straight into the Champions League, got him to a Europa League final. It's not exactly. And it's not like Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was some unbelievable manager. I think he did well in the Dutch league, but that was about it. You know, so it's one of those where I think Gerrard's gone, but it also won't surprise me if Villa were able to get someone like Pochettino in, to be honest with you. I think he's at that point in his career, he needs a rebuild job. He knows Villa will give him money, and he knows he's got a good squad of players there. If they can get behind him, a manager like Pochettino, to be honest with you, look at what he did with Southampton. That Villa squad's very talented. That Villa squad's filled with players we've wanted on transfers. So it's difficult. Every club that's around us really they're not even above us. They're lapping us at this point. Newcastle have lapped us 2 or 3 times now. You know, you look at that Isaac against Liverpool, he was fantastic. You look at Sven Botman, one of the best young centre-backs in Europe. And don't get me wrong, Newcastle have just been taken over by... They're now technically the richest football club in the world, but we've spent £500 million over the past few years. And, you know, 10% of them have been good. Probably not even that. You know, so it's unfortunate to see. And don't get me wrong, football's a very turbulent world. You know, you look at a team like Brighton, stuff like that. For all we know, next year Brighton get relegated. The Premier League can be like that sometimes, where you look at a team and go, they're safe, bang. You know, last season, I think only Everton fans really knew that, oh, this could be bad. When we brought Rafa in, everyone else thought, yeah, Everton would never get relegated. Everton would never be in that position. We knew, because we knew that as soon as things went bad for Rafa, that was it. He wasn't going to be able to recover from that. But it's just one of those where I really, really don't think something's going to happen. Paddy Boyland has just said Everton in race against time to get forward in before deadline. As reported elsewhere, the approach for Brereton Diaz was not backed by Brighton this afternoon. And they are basically, what Paddy Boyland's saying is they've put a ridiculous price on Ben Brereton to say he's going to go for free. And James Garner's very close. So I think Garner's done. We can say that. But, you know, now it's the point is, are the club going to be able to pull some sort of miracle off and get a striker? Can Frank use his Chelsea connections to get us Amanda Broja? I don't think so.
Have to wait and see. It's just... Martin Kowalski here. Martin Kowalski, I'm surprised we didn't go for Adama Traore for 10 million. Monster, strong, fast work on end product. I'd be well up for that, actually.
Like, don't get me wrong, yeah, he needs to work on his end product. Yeah, but when the fella completes as many dribbles as he does, he was a much better option for McNeil than McNeil. And I actually quite like McNeil as a player, to be honest with you. But that's the same thing. I see a lot of people on Twitter slagging off McNeil, but my problem with that is his best aspect is crossing. What's he had to cross to?
Well, precisely.
The fella can't cross the ball. You know, you look at what he's had at Burnley, you know, he had Chris Wood really good in the air. Ashley Barnes was even better than what we've got without Calvert-Lewin. You know, like we said, Mate Vidra, probably better than what we've got. I mean, I think Maupay is probably better than Vidra and Barnes, but in the air, they've probably got a case for being better. So we're just in this constant cycle of now it looks like we've actually got a style of play, and now we can't find any players to fit that style of play, or someone else who got them before us.
Sod's law, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, honestly, Gibbo's just put it here. Sign Sidibe in the ass. Let's at least go down laughing.
Certainly. No harm, and couldn't be much worse at this stage, could it? It's about to get worse. Paul McAllister's joining the stream.
Oh, here we go.
Well, fuck off, boys. Sorry. I've just, before I came on, I've just seen Sky Sports. Sky managed to somehow track down Aubameyang on a street in London and were like doing a live interview with him. And Aubameyang was like, yeah, can you like piss off, please? Can you go away? As if the reporter stinks. Do you know what I mean? But Aubameyang to Chelsea's done. So do you think we're gonna make a late go for Rozier at all? Or because apparently we're still interested in him, and there's Diaz, or no chance.
We don't have a chance of. To be honest, we don't have a chance of staying up if we don't get another striker.
I wouldn't.
I honestly think all the teams below us will pick up form before we do at this rate. I think all the teams below us are better than us. Unless
I don't agree with that personally, but
who are below us? It's Wolves, Leicester, and has the league changed?
I think it's only Leicester below us now, isn't it?
No.
Wolves, Leicester, and Villa, I think.
I don't know. Well, I think we're in for a very hard slog of a season if we don't get a striker. We might still be in for a slog even if we do get one, but I just think we've made such improvements to the midfield and defence that we won't be in anywhere near as much trouble as we were last year. I just think it'll be really, really boring and soulless if we just don't get one. Whereas if we do get a striker, that could be the difference in us, getting well away from danger rather than just hovering above it.
We won't score more than one goal in a game all season. It'll be all 1-0 wins and 0-0 draws when we get wins and draws. We're 15th, are we? Are we 15th now? Bloody hell.
Yeah, we've got 3 points out of 5, haven't we?
Yeah, I know we've been on a decent little run of draws recently, but where are we? Oh, yes. No, we're 17th. Only Wolves, Villa, and Leicester.
It's still. I'm not really paying much attention to the table personally because I think I'm Brighton in the top. I'm Brighton in the top 6.
Brighton in the top 4.
Yeah, well, they're not going. They're not going to stay there. United are not going to stay in the bottom half. They were 1-0 up at half time. They're playing tonight, aren't they? I don't know what score it is now.
To be fair, to your point, they're 5th now, and they were bottom like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, as I said, it'll be a very hard slog of a season if we don't get a striker. Probably will be anyway, but I just don't see us staying in the bottom 3, even if we don't get one. There'll be games where we just manage to keep the opposition out, and maybe we could have the odd little snardy one. Do you know what I mean? It'll be just a classic early Moyes season where we finish in the bottom half, but we do enough at home to just not be in any relegation battle discussion. I hope anyway.
We can hope. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it's going to be one of those where, don't get me wrong, I'm not very hopeful at all, but I think it's one of those where you are probably right. When the team gels together, they get more used to each other.
Yeah.
Like you said, that midfield and defence is actually...
It's too good. Now, on paper, at least, the midfield and the defence we brought in. The midfield looks like it's going to be really, really tasty. And the defence looks rock solid when all of them are fit. We haven't conceded more than 1 goal other than the Villa game, have we?
Not until Saturday,
I think. No. Well, yeah, we'll concede a few there. I just don't see us shipping goals left, right, and centre. We won't have many. If we have any 4 or 5-0 games this season, there'll only be one. There'll only be a couple. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see us being like minus 20 goal difference. I can't see that with that defence personally.
No, hopefully not. But yeah, I'm just, we were just talking about before you get in. If we don't sign a striker, we are the free agent choices we've got are Diego Costa, Matej Vidra, and the only good one is that Ilicic used to play for Atalanta, but he's 34.
No, it's too old, isn't it? What's going on with that guy from Villarreal? Because I was reading all afternoon in work that the usual suspects were quite reliable, like Fabrizio Romano was saying, like on his Twitch, that yes, there are genuine discussions happening between Everton and Villarreal over this player. And has there been any news on that? Because I don't get that side of myself personally. I don't know much about him.
But years, I think, Ola.
Pardon?
Yeah.
It's 4 on 10 years, I think.
It's on Sky now that we're still chasing Diaz, but we've got an open run at Diaz apparently.
Well, yeah, but they're asking for 20 million, and he's not a 20 million player when he's got 3 years left on his contract. Never mind a year. He's worth the same as Adam Armstrong, because they've got, at this point, they're at the exact same point. Adam Armstrong at that point was probably more prolific as well. He was at least more proven as a goal scorer. So it's about 15 million is a worthy price. And as I said to James, right now in the situation we're in, 15 and 20 million is a big gap in price for us.
Yeah, and Armstrong, he went to Southampton, didn't he? Don't think he did much last season. He scored on the opening day against us, didn't he? Because Michael Keane was dilly-dallying in front of the Gladys Street end in the first half and let him get a clean run at goal. But I don't think how many goals did Armstrong get last season? Was it like 7 or 8? 3?
Like 3. Yeah, I know he played really well against Chelsea, but this is what he seems to do. He has really good games, goes missing for 10. I don't know if he's been really good this season, because I know Southampton have been, defying everyone's expectations so far. I think a lot of people thought they were going to go down, but
I did,
personally. I think at this point we are. It's like I've just seen on Twitter here, Lampard and Felwell, I think have genuinely might have to ring Thomas Tuchel begging.
I hope not. No, it reminds me. Have you seen Sunderland Till I Die, where the owner is calling up? He's trying to get Will Grieg in on loan, isn't he? And he's calling up every 10 minutes up on his offer, isn't he?
Yeah,
that'll be what we're doing for that. I think that's what we'll end up doing for that Diaz. We'll be offering them 10 million up front and another 7 or 8 million in installments, and they'll just be laughing at us down the phone.
Yeah, that's what it'll be. And it's not even I figured it out, James. That rule we run about is a thing. Even if we wait until January, you can't sign. So we can't sign another player from England when they have 6 months on their contract left, unless they're over 24. Diaz doesn't turn 24 until April. So only foreign clubs can go for him or a free.
So it's now or never, basically.
Yeah, because a Spanish club or something will take him in January on a free. I could easily see a Sevilla or something going, yep, we'll take you. So
he's a Stoke boy, isn't he? I know he plays for Chile, but he's born and bred Stoke. Does he want to go to Spain? Or does he fancy coming to Merseyside where he can get egg and chips?
But yeah, it's just I don't think we have 25 million. I wish we did, because we could have. That Cody Gakpo would have been an unreal signing for us.
He's not leaving PSV, is he? Few clubs are in for him, but he's categorically said he's not leaving, isn't he?
Yeah, because no one's paying the 25 million they want, and now it's too late.
What do you make of that Ajax kid apparently going on strike, Kudos, whatever he's called? Because that puts me off even wanting to buy him personally, because I know it's worked for a few. It's worked for Lisandro Martinez. And he went on strike to get his. Yeah, he went on strike to get his move pushed through to United, and then Anthony's done the same in the last week or so. And now Alvarez, who wants to move to Chelsea, and Kudos, who wants to move to us, they've decided to do what the teammates did and said, well, we'll go on strike as well and push our move. But, whether you rate them or not, Martinez and Anthony were sort of known commodities, weren't they? People had heard of them. They were likely to get a move at some point in their careers anyway. I'd never heard of this kid, Kudos, until about 2 weeks ago when we first got linked. And if he's going to go on strike to get a move pushed through, I'm thinking, well, if you come here and you do well, and then Chelsea come and bid for you in 2 years, are you going to go on strike for us as well? You're not Neymar, mate. You haven't got the right to be trying to spit your dummy out and push people around. That's the attitude you're going to take. I'd rather the club just swerved you off, personally.
Yeah, well, this superstar footballer got an amazing stat line of 1 goal, 1 assist in 16 games last season. So it's one of those where...
He hasn't played many senior games at all. At least the other ones all have, like Anthony and Martinez and Alvarez, if he gets his move to Chelsea. As I said, these were all sort of known commodities around Europe, weren't they? Whereas this kid's, I hadn't I couldn't have, if you told me to pick him out of a lineup of 10 people, I wouldn't have had a clue who he actually was.
Yeah, well, if I'm doing my maths right, this season he's played a combined total of 29 minutes in 4 games.
Has he played 50 senior games overall in his career?
I can tell you if you give me a second.
I don't think he's been like in the Ajax first team for long.
He has played a whopping total of, he's played 115 in his career.
At senior level?
Yeah, it looks like it.
That's more than I thought, but as you said then, he hasn't, I know he's young, but he hasn't done anything in his career that's made the world sit up and take notice, has he?
He's been quite good for Ghana. I think he's got like 5 goals and 3 assists in 16 appearances, but I don't know which other African teams he's played during those times. Has he played any of the good ones? Has he played a Senegal, a Nigeria, a Cameroon, and Egypt? Or has he been playing like
Niger? Yeah, Niger and
Togo, something like that. Oh, I'm pretty sure probably still wheeling Adebayor out, so you know.
Yeah, probably.
So it's one of those.
Did he play? Did he go the African Cup of Nations?
I'm guessing so. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Again. He had to have. He's played quite a few times with Ghana.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything where, like, any big stage he'd have played on that makes you think that, all right, this is a kid who's got it and a kid who's getting loads of attention around Europe.
Well, he didn't start the last game, ironically, against Chile. It was some lad I've never heard of, that young lad from Roma, and that's not the Ayew I think it is it? That's not Andre Ayew, is it? Yeah, even Andre Ayew, who is 32 and playing in God knows where, is starting over him. So
says if he's how old is this kid? He's 19?
22.
20. Is he that? Is he 22 already?
Yeah, he's 22.
I was going to say, like, maybe the idea is to sign him and then put him in the under 23s for a couple of months and then give him some minutes in the back end of the season. But no, he's 22 and we buy him. He's surely coming straight into the first team. And for all I know, he could be an absolute gem of a player who just we've managed to find and who's been under the radar, and he comes in and he's fantastic. But just when you got the reputation he's got, which is, from what I can tell, not much of a reputation at all, I don't really think you've got the right to be going on strike and demanding Ajax sell you, because you wouldn't be anything without Ajax. So it just makes me think that that's a player with a bad attitude. So if we don't get him, then I wouldn't shed any tears at all.
No, because I think, like you said, we need a goal scorer. I don't think our wingers are amazing, but we've got good wingers. I think, like I said, I think Anthony Gordon's going to keep developing throughout the season. So we've got
Gordon's on 2 goals, isn't he? Could have had 3. He had 1 chalked off against Villa. If I think Gordon's aim now that he's staying should be to get 10 goals this season. If he can get 10 goals this season, then he's near enough replaced Richarlison, hasn't he, in terms of goal output.
Well, yeah, I think Richarlison got about 10 goals, 4 or 5 assists. So there's no reason Gordon can't do that. And, they've been 2 good finishes as well. Good runs, good finishes. Yeah. The fans on Twitter were saying he only scores deflections now. Starting to prove him wrong now, don't get me wrong. And, it looks like his confidence is really starting to get there where he believes in himself. And, maybe that link to Chelsea was the confidence boost he needed,
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Of course, yeah. It's made him think, right, I am a bloody good player, because Chelsea wouldn't be wanting to bid 40, 50 million for me. That's the attitude he should have. I hope you're right, and that he has looked at those bids and thought, well, I must be a bloody good player if all these, they want me to go and play for the Champions League club. So he's going to be staying, though, regardless. So I think he just needs to get his head down now and just completely focus on doing what he can for Everton. And if he turns out to be the player everyone thinks he's going to be, then Chelsea or other clubs will come back for him.
Oh, yeah. I said this. If he has a season like that next season, it wouldn't surprise me with this Bowley guy if Chelsea bid 80 million plus for him next.
Yeah. Interesting one. Sorry, interesting one here. Martin Kowalski's put, it's horrid if we make promises on Gordon going to Chelsea next season to get Brozier.
I think it depends on the promises, really. Like, for example, if we do sell Gordon, you get first rights. To put it simply, if the promise is, let's say Man United and Chelsea both bid 80 million. The promise is Chelsea, you'll get him if they offer the same. It's like the sort of, what is it? It's the similar thing where if you've got a sell-on clause on a player or something, and it expires, that club then gets first dibs basically if they want to match the offer.
Yeah.
Something like
Buyback
that,
clause, yeah.
But if it's you give us Brogy this year, then yeah, you can have Gordon next year for this much. It's stupid. But at the same
Conor
time,
Gallagher Conor Gallagher gone anywhere? Because if he's not, then I think he's going to be wasting 3-4 months of his career. Because nailed on, if he doesn't go this window, he'll go on loan in January when he's barely played.
Yeah,
I think if I was him, I would be pushing for it. I'd be pushing for a loan if I was him. Even if it's not necessarily to Everton.
Palace offered 30 million from what I remember, and they turned it down. But I don't know because, is it one of those things where Tuchel's looking at him now and gone, not very reliable, are you, mate? Look what you did against, was it Southampton where he got sent off within 5 minutes?
Yeah.
So it's one of those where I don't really know, but, I keep refreshing Twitter and just praying something comes up at this point.
I think there will be a late twist, personally, because apparently we're in for play. All the usual people are saying that we're in, like journalists who you tend to believe, or they don't outright talk rubbish, do they? Sometimes they sort of over-exaggerate how close a deal is, but a lot of the journalists who it's typically safe to trust are all saying that Everton are looking to do something. So I do believe that we are actually, in Finch Farm now, making calls and getting paperwork hopefully signed off. I don't believe that they're just sitting there eating a takeaway, waiting to go home. Whereas other clubs like Liverpool, they've got that half a mellow, haven't they? Like, they'll probably be at home now. There'll be no one at Melwood doing anything. There'll be no one at United's training ground. They'll be playing tonight. Any business they've got done, they'll have got done, yesterday at the latest. So some clubs are active, some clubs are not, but I'm convinced that we are active. We could have a very late one. Do you remember we were on it a few years ago, weren't we, James, when we just pulled Josh King out of nowhere in the final hour?
Yeah, that was a weird one, that.
Weird, no one had even heard of that, yeah. And it was about 9:45 before we even heard anything on Twitter, and then by 10:30 it was done.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, isn't it, where I'm pretty sure if you've got things in the last stages, you can apply for like an extension thing, can't you?
Yeah, I think if you're just waiting on paperwork to come over, then they allow you to do it. The deal's got to be a certain amount of a certain way along the line to be done. I don't know the ins and outs of doing a deal, but if your deal's like 85% finished, then they'll usually let you get it through type thing. If it's just a case of waiting for someone to physically get into a building so they can physically sign a contract. If you've got a player and the deal's all agreed, but that player is at McDonald's down the road waiting to be called in, and it takes them half an hour to actually drive there and get there, then I think in that example they'll say, okay, we're willing to let you register them after the deadline because we know the deal is happening, all the terms are agreed, you just have to physically wait for someone to actually arrive and actually get the pen in his hand type thing.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where, I'm trying to find something, but I hope you're all right. I think, because I said, me and James will talk about this. We have done it a few times in the past where we've just plopped deadline signings out of nowhere that, we didn't expect to happen and they've just happened out of nowhere. But I feel like it is getting to that point now where it's that late in the window where it's starting to feel very make or break now.
Yeah, I always tend to think that, social media, Twitter, whenever anything breaks on Twitter, it's usually maybe an hour and a half behind real life. Whereas, the outlets like Sky and TalkSport and, other people like ESPN or Sky Italia, whatever, anything they report, they find out hours after it's happened type thing. Whereas if something suddenly breaks on Twitter, I don't know, David Ornstein or Craig Hope or Maddock or someone like that tweets, this deal is being negotiated. They've probably had a phone call in the last 15, 20 minutes telling them that from their source, and their source has probably had that discussion in the last hour. So I reckon let's say we get a deal done and it's announced by like 10:30, it'll be a deal that was done in real life around 8:00 tonight, around tea time, something like that.
Yeah. Football Daily have just tweeted, Everton are still negotiating a deal to sign Man United midfielder James Garner.
He's in Finch Farm. Yeah, he is. I saw a video earlier on of him walking through the front door with his agent, and that was around 5 or 6 o'clock. Now that deal will be done now. it'll be done. The club just haven't announced it. They'll be doing like the interviews with him for the club.
Yeah, and
the website where he's got his kit on and he's doing all of this. They'll film that and they'll be editing it, and it'll be out either late tonight or first thing in the morning. But yeah, there was video of him walking into Finch Farm about 5:30, 6 o'clock. That deal will be done.
Yeah, I think that's been done for a while, but now it is honestly just refreshing Twitter and praying that a striker magically appears out of thin air. Or that Everton have just tweeted. No. It said they've retweeted a Just a Garnaga's tweet. They've got my hopes with that.
Oh, piss off. That's cock teasing with that, aren't they?
Vintage Everton Twitter, that isn't it? The vintage admin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pain, bloody pain.
They know what they're doing. I mean, if you remember Everton Twitter like the other day, there's no pinned tweet. You know what that means? God's sake.
Yeah, the wait. No, so we've had a few like mad deadline days, haven't we? Even in the last few years. The one I always remember is Sissoko, when we were trying to get Sissoko and he turned his phone off and Koeman was trying to call him. Do you know what I mean? He decided to go to Tottenham at the last minute. Yeah.
When he was somehow the best player at Euro 2016. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Then we had that one a few years ago where we got... Who else did we get that deadline day, James? We got Josh King announced it very late on in the day, but didn't we get someone else early on in the afternoon as well?
I don't remember that. I feel like it was only King, you know. I want to say it was only Josh King.
Let me have a look.
So remember we just couldn't believe the deal that we got, where we basically got him for nothing, and the fact that he'd agreed to just take a 6-month deal. Essentially, it was basically a 6-month trial, wasn't it?
It was 2021 when we signed Josh King, wasn't it? So
yeah, he was the only one we signed that window.
It was the COVID season, that wasn't it? Behind closed doors.
No, it's 21-20. Oh yeah, Josh King. James.
January 21, was it?
So it was the players we signed were James, Nkunku, Decore, Alan, Godfrey, King.
That they were the summer window, weren't they?
All the others were, yeah.
Yeah, I think we only signed Josh King in winter.
We got him in January, yeah. January last thing.
He's the only player we signed. Yeah. But yeah, it's like the one I remember is, let me get the year right, is I was speaking to Thingy about it, was is it 18-19? Yeah. The Richarlison, Mina, Digne, Zuma, Gomez, Bernard, that summer. That's the one I remember.
Oh, yeah, we were running around Barcelona, weren't we? And got Gomez and Mina on the last day.
Yeah. We paid 28 million for Yerry Mina.
That's a good point. Has that absolutely been confirmed that Gomez is gone? Apparently, he went to France earlier on today to get his deal over the line with Lille. Please tell me that, he didn't get stuck at the airport or something, or his his taxi didn't break down.
I think it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing as the Ghana thing we were just talking about, where it's just they're getting the stuff ready to announce him and stuff. Because it said he's done his medical, he's done everything. So unless Nice realised, it's a scam, just stop quickly. Yeah,
no one knows his taxi to the airport has broken down, or the plane itself's been delayed, or when he's got off the plane, he's got stuck at customs and he ends up having to come back because he didn't actually get the paperwork signed on time.
Oh, it'd be very Everton. It'd be. But it's just one of those where I'm just hoping.
What about Alan?
God knows.
Looks like he's staying, doesn't it? I haven't seen him linked with anyone.
I honestly just think he's going to be just sat on the bench for the season.
I do, but money's. I mean, we've been stuck with worse players on the bench, but it's just the money he's on, isn't it? Don't mind having Alan as a squad option. I think that would be a good role for him, because I do think he's not terrible. I think he's got his uses in certain games. He's someone you'd want to bring on when a game's getting really tight and you just need someone with a bit of bite in the midfield. He hasn't got the discipline to come on and see out a game, I don't think, when you're winning. But when a game's maybe there to be won, and you just need someone to kind of go in the midfield and help get a grip of the game, he'd be useful, wouldn't he? But for the money he's on, ideally, we could have moved him on, couldn't we? But
oh yeah, 100%. And I think
I read that Roma were interested in him, but maybe he just doesn't want to take the drop in wages because he's one of our highest earners, Alan, I believe.
Oh yeah, I think he might be our highest earner, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's on 6 figures a week easily.
Let's some wages. So there you go. I think Yerry Mina's the highest. And
Mina and Gomez, I think. And I think Alan is maybe third or fourth.
Oh, maybe not. No, it can't be right.
Whatever he's on here, if he was going to go back to Italy, he'd probably only get half that.
It's saying he's only on 70 grand, but I don't think that's right. I think he'll have bonuses and stuff in. I think that's a base.
70 grand's probably well above average for our squad, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them will be on like 30, 40, 50.
Who was that?
70 grand still in the top half of our wage earners.
You know what? I think, honestly, it's about 50-50 between people above 50k and people below 50k.
Yeah, I don't think Calvert-Lewin's on that.
No, Calvert-Lewin's... I saw this, and it says it again here. It says Calvert-Lewin's on 20 grand a week. I don't believe that.
No.
Well, when did he last sign a deal? Because if he signed, did he sign one like 2 years ago before he kind of had that?
I can't understand it there.
Form. But
surely you'd have. Rondon makes more.
No, Rondon's got to be on like crisp packets a week, surely.
20
he
grand.
Wanted to get,
it says here,
he just wanted to get out of China.
It says £20,192 a week. Calvert-Lewin makes 20,000. So technically, if that's true, Salomon Rondon's the highest paid striker at Everton.
What's Rondon supposedly on? Because for everyone who defends Rondon, he tries hard, he's enthusiastic, he just does what he can. No, if he was playing for us for a packet of crisps every week, then yeah, I'd have more sympathy. But he's getting tens of thousands of pounds to just run around like a big headless turkey.
He makes more than Anthony Gordon, Nathan Patterson, Connor Cody, Begovic, and Calvert-Lewin.
And that's on its own a disgrace, considering his ability and considering it's not even just his ability, considering how absolutely stupid he is. Because I still haven't forgiven him for that game against Brentford last season when he ran on, left the ground and got sent off within 5 minutes and then ran off clapping. It's like, mate, just get lost. Seriously, pick your coat up and go. You are embarrassing.
Yeah, it's just. You look at some of the wages in this club and you're like, gee, you see why we're in the problem, Ray. Yerry Mina, honestly, does he, for 120 grand a week, don't get me wrong, a good centre-back on his day.
For 120 minutes every 3 months, yeah.
Exactly. His days, 10 games a season?
In a good season, yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
he's in his last year, isn't he? He'll go. Mina. He'll go in January, I think.
Toffee Blues put, what's everyone's favourite deadline day signing? So what's your two's favourite signing out of what we've done so far?
Just in general, ever. What's my favourite deadline day memory, or who's my favourite sign who we've got in?
Do both. Do your favourite from this deadline and then your favourite all time.
My favourite all time best window would probably be the window where we got Jelavic and Pinar back. It was late. It was in 2012.
Yeah,
they came in and made a world of difference because that season was going really poorly. Like we were in the bottom half. We didn't really have any star players anymore. I think KO was well past it. What am I trying to think of? Arteta had gone the year before. Yeah, Arteta had gone the year before. KO was near enough finished. We had no strikers really. We only had Saha, and Saha was.
He left on the deadline.
Yeah, he went out to Tottenham on that deadline day.
I think him and Pinar swapped, didn't he?
Yeah, Pinar came in, and Pinar was still hungry and still the exact same player he was when we sold him, and he came in and made a world of difference. And we had Jelavic who came in, who started absolutely amazingly. Still one of the back period with Jelavic from January to the end of that season in 2012, when I think he got like 11 goals in 14 games. That was still near enough, yeah. And that was one of my favourite periods as an Everton fan because we had this new striker who not many people had heard of, but he came in and he was just the difference maker in so many games. He was turning draws into wins when in the first half of the season we just couldn't score because we had Saha up front who was old and crocked. The other one would be, narrow second would be that Martinez year where we got McCarthy and Barry on the last day. Yeah, that was a really good one, but I'd probably pick.
Did we not get Barry and Lukaku on the deadline day as well?
Yeah,
yes, Barry, Lukaku and McCarthy all came in on the deadline day, yeah. Lukaku was going to West Brom again, but they were on international duty, and Morales went to his hotel room and apparently convinced them to swerve West Brom off and sign for us instead. And Gareth Barry was in a McDonald's down the road from Finch Farm for about 2 hours waiting for the phone call. They were told to come in.
What a player he was though for us, for his age as well.
Yeah,
you know,
amazing.
It is a weird transfer window. This though, I'm looking at it. So we got all those names. You know, McCarthy before he got injured were good for us. Gareth Barry were ace for us. Lukaku, obviously, probably arguably the best player we've had in the Premier League era, one off, if not. You know, then you look at players like Gerard Deulofeu, who a lot of people don't like him. I loved him. There was just something about Deulofeu that I liked, and
I rated Deulofeu personally.
I wanted us to bring him back a third time this summer. You know, I think he's just had a beller of a season in Serie A.
He's just a journeyman player, isn't he? But a high level journeyman. He's never really settled anywhere. He went to Watford for a bit, and he did quite well at Watford, all things considered. But he went down, and he's too good for the Championship. And who's he at now? Udinese.
Udinese.
Yeah, just last season he got 13 goals and 5 assists for them.
Yeah, he's been to a few places where sometimes it's worked out for him, sometimes it hasn't. He was at us, then he went on loan to Sevilla where it didn't work, and then he came back to us, and he had, for my money, he had a...
There was that he was where he got like 10 assists in the league or something like that. Or he got very close.
Did, yeah.
And then,
we sacked Martinez though, and then Koeman came in, and Koeman didn't fancy him, and then he went on loan to AC Milan for 6 months, and then he did quite well in AC Milan, but they just didn't take up the option to buy him. And then we who did we sell him to? Barca bought him back, and Barca gave him a little try. Barca gave him a try, and he didn't really pull up any trees back at Barca, so they sold him back to Watford.
I remember, was it against Chelsea where he absolutely dominated them, and they beat him? They beat Chelsea like 4-0 or something stupid like that.
Yeah. He did well at Wembley as well. They got that year they got to the final before they got hammered.
Yeah, was that when they beat Wolves in the semi-final?
Yeah, he turned the game. They were 2-0 down, and he turned the game on its head. He got them from 2-0 to 3-2, almost single-handed.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm just trying to look. So, like, since that transfer window, the Martinez one, I mean, the transfer window after was all right because we got, because obviously we brought in Lukaku permanently, but then, like, you look at them afterwards, 16 million we paid for him, man. Yes. I forgot it was that much, you know. I really did forget.
That alone means Martinez should never manage in a high-level league ever again.
No, because
there's been a lot of
national duty.
Because things have gone the way they have over the past few years. There's been a lot of revisionist history about Martinez. A lot of people, I know, most people were not in favour of him coming back when he was linked. Back after we sacked Benitez, Ken Wright wanted him back apparently, didn't he? But a lot of fans are still saying, "Oh, it wasn't necessarily that bad under Martinez. At least the football was entertaining." No, it wasn't. We just pass it around from side to side. It was Martinez, not necessarily his fault alone, but it was under Martinez that the Goodison atmosphere became dreadful, like it has been in the last few years. It's so moody and so toxic. It happened during Martinez's era because people got so fed up with his football. And it's never really snapped out of it ever since. Martinez should never, ever be managing the Premier League ever again. If he ever gets a job in the Premier League, he will relegate the team he's with.
Oh,
if they allow him to.
Don't get me wrong, if he gets a job at a good team, he can do a job there because they've got good players to make him look better. That's why Belgium... A decent manager wins Belgium the World Cup easily in 2018.
Yeah, he's underachieved at Belgium. I don't know why he's still there. Probably because he's not on a lot of money, basically, and maybe no the top manager fancies it. But he's underachieved at Belgium. And he's been not many people who are his age, who've probably still got ambitions to manage at club level at some point, stay in an international job that long. He's been their manager now for over 6 years. It's not like he's in his late 50s, early 60s, and he's semi-retired. He probably, at some point, wants to come back to the Premier League or La Liga and compete every week again. And he probably would do that if he got a half-decent offer. He wanted to come back, didn't he, to us? He would have jumped at the chance, but Belgium FA blocked it.
Moyes did as well, didn't he?
Moyes did what?
Same thing with Moyes. Who did we sack? And apparently Moyes
that was when we sacked Silva. Moyes was just waiting on the phone call, wasn't he? But we ended up... Ancelotti got sacked by Napoli, didn't he? And all of a sudden he became available, and we couldn't say no to Ancelotti when we were basically told that Ancelotti was available and Ancelotti was willing to sit down and listen to us, and we ended up making him a pitch that he accepted.
Well, look at Ancelotti. He dragged
even
that team,
10th
to 10th.
That team 50. Not even necessarily to 10th, because he got us 59 points, and in the majority of seasons, 59 points gets you 7th or 8th minimum.
We were in top
Which is
4
a very,
until
very tight
April, weren't
league.
we?
Yeah,
We actually looked like we were going to get Champions League at a point, and it just coattailed off at the end.
It was a mad, because it was the COVID season and the league was so tight, and every team was really, really bad at home. It seemed like that 59 points only got us to 10th, but most other seasons that 59 points would have got us Europe easily. Even when Martinez went, Ancelotti went, and we ended up getting fat Spanish waiter. Apparently, Moyes would have been interested again, but we wanted him to do an interview, and he said no. So he ended up signing the new deal at West Ham.
Yeah, you look at it and you go, because the thing is though, because even if we would have got top 4 that season, I still think Ancelotti leaves for Real Madrid. I think even more guarantees it happening this time. And then imagine that Everton team in the Champions League. It'd have probably still been fat Spanish waiter as the manager. It'd have been a nightmare. We'd have lost every game.
Getting ran it, yeah.
We'd have probably got
destroyed by.
Anyone want a really, really depressing statistic?
Go on.
Go ahead.
If we don't qualify for Europe this season, which is highly unlikely, let's be honest, Goodison's last ever European home game will have been a 5-1 home to Atalanta.
Atalanta, yeah.
I was at that game as well. That was one of. I don't remember why. I think I probably did somewhat well in school or something. My dad went, "Oh, we'll take you to a Europa League game," because we went to one of the Hajduk Split games.
You never revised for an exam after that night. I can guarantee you that you've never.
I actually failed all my exams after that on purpose, just so he never offered again. It was just. I just remember watching it and going. I just remember my dad looking at me and going, "How were we even here to begin with?" But it's just, you look at it and you go, Christ almighty. I've just been doing it now. Oh God, Paul's gone. I've just been looking through like all the transfer windows since that 1 year. There's the only good transfer window we've had since in 2013. Arguably not even a good. No, it is a good one. The Richarlison one. And that's solely for Richarlison and Digne.
Yeah, when I think about it, Bernard, Mina, and Gomez were all like good signings at the time, but all of them for different reasons have had the flaws. Even Mina now, who's a good player, but he's just not reliable enough.
Yeah, like it annoys me that we ever got rid of Digne. I like Mikolenko. I think he's a good player, but I don't know what's happened to him at Villa. Awful.
Luca Dean.
He's terrible.
Is he?
He's not. I think it's Gerrard, but yeah, I don't know if I maybe overrated him when we watched us. He doesn't look any good.
I mean, I was always concerned about him defensively when he played for us, but I always thought his attacking output sort of overshadowed it anyway, and he was great in that respect.
Yeah, because I feel like it just looks like to me he doesn't get forward as much. It looks like they keep trying to play it through Matty Cash, and don't get me wrong, Matty Cash is a good player, but going forward, he's not close to Digne.
Nah, not at all.
It's just I think that transfer sums up the Rafa Benitez era at Everton perfectly. Just. And then signing Mikolenko for what? And the thing is, well, I like Mikolenko. I think he's going to be a right player, but it's still annoying. Even though, but yeah, it don't look like anything. I just keep refreshing Twitter, and I'm not even seeing rumors at this point. Like that's how bad it's got. We're not even getting rumors at this point.
Yeah, there's nothing, absolutely nothing coming through.
I'm genuinely tempted to make a fake in the No Twitter account now and just say we're linked to someone, for the pure carnage of it. But yeah, probably no. But here's another sad fact. We all know it. Let's remind everyone in here of something even more depressing that Gibbles just reminded us. Everton rejected Haaland in 2018 because he was not good enough, apparently. Like, don't get me wrong.
I've heard that story. It was Steve Walsh who says that. I don't know whether I believe it or not. Steve Walsh is going to say that to pick himself up because he was such a disaster as a director of football.
It probably Steve Walsh who turned him down.
Maybe. I heard that story 2 years ago. Steve Walsh saying that he had Haaland and his dad basically ready to sign a deal, and Everton said no, thinking he was too lightweight. And it's like, well, who else is backing up this story, Steve? Do you know what I mean?
I'm not being funny though. Even if Erling Haaland did sign for Everton in 2018, he'd probably be on loan at Sunderland now.
Yeah, he'd have done a Van der Meijden, wouldn't he? He'd have got lost in Liverpool and become like an alcoholic slob. Do you know what I mean?
Either that, yeah, he's been, he's been going out on the sesh with Jose Baxter and the classic under-21s.
He'd have been getting coached by Jose Baxter because when we'd have signed him, he'd have gone into the under-23s, wouldn't he? At that age.
Well, exactly, but that's the thing. I think Haaland, if he'd have signed for us at that time, he'd have been rotting in the under-23s and probably gone on loan to like Fleetwood or someone.
Yeah. Getting told what to do by Unsworth, yeah.
Those Red Bull academies are a joke. They're a joke. That's why he's turned out as good as he is. Because he's had the perfect environment to develop the skills he already had. Where we can't develop football players. Anthony Gordon's the only good one we've had since Ross Barkley. The only good one.
It tells you how terrible... It tells you how much of a state that the academy was in when we were allowing Unsworth to just run it like a club within a club. Like I like Unsworth as a person, and he had a good career at Everton, and everyone's got a soft spot for him. But he was absolutely dreadful in terms of bringing players through. I believe he's more of a man manager, as in he's more of like a mentor type person. But in terms of being an actual football coach, he brings through young players and develops them and tells them what they need to improve on in the game and what the habits they need to drop and things like that. As you said, the evidence is very, very little that he knew at all what he was doing, because who came through? Nobody.
Even between Barkley and Rooney, was there anyone between them? Like anyone that really stands out?
Like there was Vaughan and Anachibi actually played in the Premier League.
Yeah, there was no whale beaters, but there were a couple of players who broke through who had who proved useful from time to time. Vaughan was a good player. I think it just his injuries cost him in the end, and he ended up. Vaughan's had a really good career in the lower league, so I wouldn't dismiss him. But he could have been a Premier League player had he been a bit luckier. But
I think Anachibi was pretty useful
2 years ago.
Anachibi was one of them. I think but history's been kind to him. When he was at Everton at the time, he was such a frustrating player. Like it was one of them where no one missed him when he went. But now that you look back in hindsight, he did score. He did pop up with some important goals from time to time when he was needed. He wasn't prolific enough in the end. Anachibi, he wasn't absolutely useless. He just wasn't the type of striker we needed. Someone who would always get us 10 goals minimum every year.
You were right.
He was more of he just popped up and got 7 or 8 probably most years. Those 7 or 8 were usually match winners.
What year was it when he broke through? I'm just trying to think.
It was that year we were in. Because I remember coming on. I remember his debut when he came on. He made his debut. Well, no, I'm thinking of James Vaughan. Actually,
was it like
his first game? His first game was my first game. It was the final day.
Ferguson, was it?
Yeah, Dunk's final game. He scored his first, and Dunk scored his last.
Yeah, I remember that was the 05-06 season. He basically burst onto the scene that year. He had that UEFA Cup run, which was the season after 06-07, where he was such a powerful striker and he had a lot of pace. When he was younger, that just these defences in the UEFA Cup from these sort of minnows teams from like Sweden and Ukraine, they just couldn't live with him, because he ends up being like getting 6 or 7 goals by the time we got knocked out. He was the top goal scorer in the tournament at the time that we got knocked out.
Do you remember another one, since we're going through memory lane of terrible strikers? Do you remember when Cenk Tosun joined and almost won Player of the Month in his first month at the club?
Yeah, because he scored 2 goals against Stoke away in the snow.
I think he scored 2 against Stoke, scored another in the next game, might have even scored another in the game after that, and then just fell off a cliff.
No, just we saw what his level was, which was not very good. Just Turkey level. Like, if you put him in a team that suits him down the bottom half, he might pop up with a couple of goals here and there, but he was never ever going to be a double-digit striker in this league because he hasn't got the quality.
Oh yeah, it's just you look at
that and the fact that he's an absolutely shit human being It made him even more unlikable.
To
Supporting
be honest,
fascism.
I don't know about that. I try not to pay attention to that sort of stuff usually.
He's back at Turkey now, isn't he?
He's
gone back to Besiktas. Yeah, he's gone back there.
Because they've just signed Weghorst.
God, he was even worse than Tosin. They got him from Wolfsburg. He looked quite good in Germany, Weghorst, but when he went to Burnley, he could have been the player who kept him up, but he was absolutely awful. He was a donkey.
I just think he didn't give one. I just think he.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he did. And everyone who was given McNeil stick saying, well, he's got 1 assist and no goals all last season. You can't help the fact that Weghorst is an absolute donkey who won't work hard to get on the end of his crosses.
Chris Wood's crap as well. Doesn't help, you know. Chris Wood is that big physical one where when he does score, it'll be in a big physical battle.
Yeah. Sam Allardyce. If there was ever a player who would have suited Sam Allardyce's Bolton, it was Chris Wood, wasn't it?
On that note, is Chris Wood getting a game at Newcastle because we going in?
No, I don't think not now. He won't now that they've got that Isaac. Yeah, he literally just signed him to weaken Burnley, didn't he? Just to take 10 points off Burnley.
It'll be Isaac Wilson, Chris Wood now. Oh God, Chris Wood and McNeil back at Everton. We're Tarkovsky too.
Bring it. Oh,
Burnley too.
Beggars can't be choosers, mate.
What that means? Yeah, but James, you know what that means? That's see you later, and that's see you later. Lampard in November. Big Sean Dyche is coming in November, and we're big Burnley balling our way to survival.
And Owen just goes on a bender in celebration.
I think Owen would
Owen would have a drug overdose. Genuinely, he'd go out and party all week.
Oh, you know Jesus. What though? If Dyche ends up becoming our manager, Everton Twitter, it'll be even more carnage than it is now.
Oh yeah, it would be like if Trump set off the nuclear bomb, wouldn't it? For Everton Twitter, we got Sean Dyche's manager.
Everton Twitter would love him for the amount of sound bites he'd give us in press conferences.
Probably. I think he's a good manager, personally. I just think
he's a really good manager.
He's just a very, very acquired taste, isn't he?
I don't even think he's that. I just think, what else could you have done with Burnley?
Nothing.
You can't play nice football with those players.
I think he'll be the. He's getting linked with He's getting linked with Bournemouth, isn't he? I don't think he's silly enough. I think he'll look at that Bournemouth team and realise there's not a lot he can do with it. I think he will get a job in the Premier League this season, though. Just not that one. He'll pick up Nottingham Forest, I think, if Nottingham Forest's bad form carries on and he ends up sacking Steve Cooper.
Yeah, it'll be Forest or. I could see Leicester even giving him the job, you know.
Maybe.
I think Rodgers is gone this season now. I think he's done.
I do. I don't think he'd get the Villa job. I know Stevie Mee is going to go before long, but I think Aston Villa would probably go for a more fancy name.
I've said it. I think Villa will get Poch because I think he needs a career.
They should go for Poch.
I think and I think I said it to James. I think Poch should do ace with that team.
Gerrard will go, I think, in the next month or so. They won't sack him after they get beat by City. They'll sack him when he doesn't get any points out of the games after that because they've got to play Leicester, Southampton, Wolves, I think. He's in over his head there, Gerrard.
Oh, yeah. He only won that Scottish League because Celtic were crap that year. That's it.
Even if Celtic were good by their usual standards, Terry had a great line when he said, if that was Ali McCoist who won that league at Rangers, would anyone link him with a Premier League job? Never mind one as big as Villa. No. Is that guy who's Celtic manager now, who's turned them round, that Australian, is he getting linked with any Premier League jobs?
No, and he's actually a decent manager as well. He's had a good track record wherever he's been as well, I think.
Yeah, it's just because he was Gerrard, because he was it was Christian Perslow, who's I don't know if he's the CEO there at Villa now. He basically is the person who makes all the football decisions at Villa. The owner's he's what Ed Woodward was to United. He's Aston Villa's version of that Christian Perslow, who was at Liverpool. That was him, literally just his heart rule in his head, thinking that Gerrard would come in and just be the manager who kicked them on, forgetting the fact that Gerrard is only in like his third or fourth year of management, had not done anything outside of pub league in Scotland, and didn't show the tactical nous to be able to get teams out of a bad run of form.
Yeah,
I don't think Gerrard's necessarily an absolutely terrible manager. He took a job that was far too big for him.
Standard. Championship standard. There's not wrong with being the Championship standard manager, but let's face facts now. It's the same thing that happened with Lampard. You know, is Lampard ever going to get the Chelsea job again? Unless he brings us to the Champions League, he's never getting that Chelsea job again.
Probably not. No, Chelsea's a weird club though. Like there's managers who've been sacked by them who've gone back. Like they don't seem to hold any grudges. The managers they sacked, they realise it is just at Chelsea. It is just business, isn't it? Like Mourinho went back. I think there's been times when if they'd have offered it to the likes of Ancelotti or offered it to the chance of.
The Russian fellow was interim manager twice, wasn't he?
Hiddink. Yeah, Hiddink. Mourinho had 2 spells there. I think there was a point in time where if he'd have offered it to Ancelotti would have happily gone back. When you get sacked by Chelsea, it doesn't seem like there's any ill feeling left, except maybe AVB. I know things were kind of bitter with AVB, but Andros Villas-Boas. But most of the managers who get sacked by them, they kind of just take the money and aren't really bothered, are they? Don't hold any grudges over it. And if Lampard does anything in his career that merits getting the Chelsea job again, I don't think Chelsea would have any problem ringing him back up and offering it to him. And I don't think he'd have any problem at least talking to them to see what the pitch is. But
yeah, I think you are right, but I just think it's one of those where I just don't know with Lampard and Gerrard. I like Lampard for us, and I do think he's a lot better than Rafa. He's a lot better than Rafa, and he seems to genuinely care about the club as well, which is nice. And
the one thing he's got going for him, Lampard, for me, is he's a very good communicator. Even if you're not believing in him at all, there's a lot of fans who don't, and even fans we know who don't think he's anything great at all, and that we should probably get rid of him before long. He's very good at getting his points across, isn't he? Which I think is why fans have talked to him a lot, or at least want him to do well, or aren't like begging him to do badly, like we were with Rafa. It's because he seems like he's being very honest in his post-match interviews. You don't ever get the impression after the game he's just talking a load of rubbish. He is just calling it like the way you've seen it.
It's a far cry from Martinez, isn't it?
Yeah, Martinez and even Benitez, yeah. Nothing's ever my fault with Benitez, yeah. Big arrogant waster.
But it's even that. It's like, if we sack Lampard tomorrow, for example, there's no way on God's green earth Mauricio Pochettino joins Everton. That's the only... And Dyche, all the fans will complain after 5 minutes after watching Dyche's football, so it's...
Yeah, exactly. So who are we going to get who's realistic? The only one we could get is Dyche, and I don't think he'd be as bad for us as a lot of people say he is, but as you just hit the nail on the head, too many people would just moan saying the football's too boring. I don't care what the football is as long as we win.
It's like one of those, like, for example, if we could convince that Potter from Brighton, yeah, go on then, but we're not going to.
He's not stupid enough to come to Everton.
No, it's like every ambitious manager in football right now does not join Everton. Unless we pay them.
Any manager who knows what's good for him doesn't join Everton. The only managers who join are managers who've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. Like Frank, they're just young managers who want a break. Or managers like Benitez, who all they're bothered about is a paycheck.
Do you know what I think it is? If Frank goes, I think it's Duncan Ferguson comes back as first team manager full time. You know.
Oh,
I think
don't say that.
It's written in the stars, though, isn't it?
Yeah, sadly, he's getting linked with the Dundee job, isn't he?
Is it?
Yeah, he played for Dundee. That was the first club of his career. He started at Dundee and then he got the move to Rangers. Yeah, I think that job would suit Ferguson because it's very kind of low key under the radar. If he goes up at Dundee, there's not going to be no spotlight on him, really, is there?
No, and if he's crap, he's as long as he's not losing 9-0.
Yeah, it's one of them with Ferguson. He's very, very like camera shy. He doesn't like dealing with the media, does he? And he won't have to worry about that with Dundee. He'll probably get 3 journalists in his post-match press conference every week, won't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that involves cameras that Ferguson likes is sending videos to Everton fans. I love seeing those videos on Twitter. They proper crack me up. It's the one where the lad, when he was doing crap in school, it's that one I remember.
I didn't see that. Which one was? What does he say? Like, I'll come around your house and beat you up, or?
He basically says something like that and goes, "If you do well, then I'll come and." He literally goes, "I'll come and take you out for food," and actually full on does it.
Oh. Well, I hope the lad does his own studies for his maths test then.
Yeah, I do miss Dunk.
I do, but it was well past time that he moved on. If he had any ambition at all in the game, it's happened at other clubs. Ryan Giggs had to leave United, didn't he? Gerrard realised he had to leave Liverpool. He couldn't just stay as the under-18s manager. Unsworth, I'm more inclined to believe Unsworth was pushed. I think Ferguson was probably very, very nicely. I think it was Ferguson's decision to go, whereas I do 100% believe that Unsworth was told to get lost, basically, in the nicest way possible. Unsworth was told that, we're not keeping you in this job anymore because Felwell's got in as director of football and realised what an absolute joke the academy was getting run like.
Well,
makes you wonder what was Marcel Brands doing?
Taking his money. He's back at PSV, but when he was here, I've argued with people over this. Marcel Brands was just here for the money. End of story. And I've got nothing against them, but I will not sit here and defend them.
I think he realised how much of a mess this board is and just went, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah, he just started taking the check. I think he came into the club, with the best intentions, but after 6 months he realised that the job was impossible, near enough. So he was happy to just sit there and take his check.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is at least with Felwell and Frank, it seems like there's a better fight back against the board if they take the mick.
Yeah, because Felwell especially is a director of football who, if he gets undermined, Felwell can go and get another, gig somewhere else. He's not going to be like Marcel Brands, where they'll have to go back to some little minnows league like Holland with his tail between his legs. I think Felwell could very likely get a very cushy job somewhere else if it didn't work out at Everton. And it was clearly not his fault. I mean, if he comes in and we absolutely stink the gaff out, if it in 3-4 years, if we're in an even worse state than we are now because Felwell signings haven't worked out, then it wouldn't be a case of that. But if Felwell had to leave the club and it was clear he was leaving because he was getting undermined, then some other Premier League club would probably pick him up, or just some very, well-off club. Like came from MLS, didn't he? Where he probably had an amazing lifestyle over there. Did he come from New York Red Bulls?
Yeah,
Red Bulls. Yeah, Felwell's I think would land on his feet if for some reason he ends up not being here for the long term. Whereas Brands had to go back to PSV, the same place he left, because he'd achieved everything already, and it was not the big time. He came to Everton was a step up, wasn't he, to the big leagues, and he couldn't handle it one bit. It wasn't all his fault. Not blaming everything on him. There were some things where he was having his leg cut out from under him, but for me, he doesn't deserve any defence. He was just taking the money.
Oh yeah, he just gave up at a certain point.
Yeah, that's his crime. He gave up, but I don't like people who try and defend him and make out like he was completely undermined and that if they'd have just let him have control, everything would have been all right. And there was no evidence to suggest that Marcel Brands, if he had 100% control of everything, could have made the club any significantly better.
Well, let's have a look what PSV have done. PSV transfer.
They've got to sign El Ghazi, haven't they?
Joking.
They've signed El Ghazi, yeah. Everyone was blaming that on Mashiri, weren't they? Saying we used up a loan spot last season on El Ghazi just to do that agent. I can never get his name right. We were just doing him a favour by taking one of his clients on loan and using up a loan spot. And everyone was blaming Mashiri for it.
In cahoots with Brands as well, though, isn't he? Like Brands, and like having him as an agent, or Raiola was his agent.
I don't know, but basically everyone was blaming Mashiri for us getting El Ghazi because it was an absolutely stupid transfer, wasn't it? We used up a loan spot. We clearly wanted to loan Dele Alli, but we couldn't because we used up the loan spot on El Ghazi. So we had to basically buy Dele Alli on a transfer. We just managed to structure the deal in a way where we wouldn't have to pay them until he'd pay 20 games. But we never wanted to buy Dele Alli permanently. We wanted to loan him, but we just had to take him on a permanence because we couldn't loan him. And everyone was blaming. Yeah, everyone was blaming Mashiri, saying he was because I can never say his name. Kia Jorazbin or something. Yeah, that's it. I can never pronounce it. James, mate. He's best mates with Mashiri and in his ear constantly. El Ghazi was one of his players, and it was clear as day that El Ghazi just wanted to move. And he got on his phone to his agent, and his agent's gone, I know some Premier League club will take you. Let me ring up my mate Farhad, and I'll get Farhad to agree to bring you in. And we used up a lot of vital loan spots on him because we used the other one on Van der Beek, didn't we? We used one on El Ghazi. He played came off the bench twice, did nothing in both games, and everyone was going, "Oh my God, that's proof that Brands is not being able to run the transfers as he'd like to. He's just got Mashiri interfering all the time." And now Brands has gone and bought him on a permanent for PSV. So I think actually
Do you think that was the plan?
I think
the plan the entire time was he knew he was going to leave Everton. Let's send El Ghazi to Everton, ruin his career. So my next job,
I can get him for
take him on
nothing.
the
Yeah,
cheap. Yeah, we got El Ghazi.
probably. He got us Branthwaite, didn't he? He was the one who scouted Branthwaite, and now he likes Branthwaite that much that PSV had took Branthwaite on loan. He started the other night for the first time, and apparently had a bit of a nightmare from what I read. Branthwaite, hopefully he can recover from it. But
yeah, well, like you look at the signings they've made, it's crap, and like they arguably got rid of their arguably lost four of their best players, and replaced them with El Ghazi, Luke De Jong. You know, that Xavi Simons is meant to be, really good young player, but
as I said, Ajax have sold all their big stars, haven't they? So that league's there to be won this year for PSV.
That fella is what Brands good at. Is Brands very good at the area around where he's from, so he can work in Belgium, Holland, that sort of area. He'll get good players from there. You take him out of his comfort zone. That's it. But it's
there was too much. There was too much that went wrong under him, wasn't there? And whether it was his fault or not, he was getting paid to be in the position of the person who has to take the blame for it. If he didn't want to take the blame for it, then he shouldn't have signed that new deal.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, whether you're making the decisions or not, the can will always be carried by the director of football, and you're happy to be the director of football as long as you're getting the money. Well, you've got to take the rough at the smooth then, mate.
Yeah, that's it. And, this is the point we've got to now, because Everton are not signing another player in this 50 minutes. They're just not.
I wouldn't. You don't know. Like, something could come out late on, and for all we know, a deal's been getting done secretly in the last 2-3 hours, and it's not going to leak out.
Hopefully, it's a Danny Ings to Aston Villa situation, where somehow the media just haven't got to it.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we didn't know we were getting Josh King around this time, and then by about 11:15, the deal was done.
A little post here on Twitter from Mark Mulvey. Everton are leaving the Garner announcement late as a token gesture for no striker coming in.
Yeah, I believe that. As I said, that deal is 100%. That deal is 100% done. Now he was seen walking into Finch Farm around tea time about 4 or 5 hours ago. He'll have gone in there to sign his contract and then put the kit on and do his interview with Everton TV, and all that stuff will be uploaded tomorrow. It'll be announced tonight at
he's probably gone home.
11 o'clock. Yeah, he won't even be there. So you're right. He's probably gone back to his hotel, wherever he says he's staying. Deal is 100% done. They just haven't tweeted it out yet.
He's from round Liverpool, isn't he? Ghana.
He's from the north. He's from the northwest. I think.
He came from Merseyside. He's from St Helens or something.
Yeah, he came through United's academy. Yeah, so he's not from. He's from this part of the country, this neck of the woods. But
he's from Birkenhead.
Birkenhead. Tixie Dean was from Birkenhead, and we like him.
Yeah, Birkenhead. So yeah, I mean, he knows the city then.
I'd be lying if I ever said I watched much of him. But I'm if it means no more Andre Gomez and less Tom Davis and less Decore, then it's only got to be a good thing, hasn't it?
He knows if he's from the Wirral, he'll know where Benitez lives, so he'll know which house to put a sheet outside of.
Don't put it outside.
Brands has still got a house in Walton, hasn't he? Even after he was sacked, he was still getting seen in Walton for about good 6 months before. I think he must have gone back to Holland now if he's took the PSV job. But he was hanging around in Walton Village for months after we sacked him.
Oh, God. We are, Sire, basically praying that in the next 45 minutes something happens.
Yeah, hoping that around 8 o'clock we got on the phone with Blackburn and sorted a deal out for Diaz. Or, as I said, just before I came on, I saw Sky Sports had managed to find Aubameyang just on some street in London. We flew into the city earlier on today from Barcelona. So the minute that Aubameyang's been, signed, sealed, delivered, you'd have to think that Brozier would become available.
1 second.
So for all we know, we've been on the phone to Chelsea saying, can we have Brozier on loan? And they've said, call us back in a few hours when we got Aubameyang signed and we'll let you know.
Christ,
that could be what's happening.
Here's the most Everton story to not involve Everton today. Bamba Dieng was linked with Everton this summer. Start of the day, close to signing for Leeds, changed his mind to go to Nice, and he's just failed his Nice medical.
Yeah, I saw that. He's had to get on the plane and go home, hasn't he?
What in God's name has gone on
Nice and
there?
Marseille, Nice and
Everton
Marseille
thing.
are other end of the country as well, aren't they? Nice is like top of France. Marseille's near the bottom.
No,
No, it's not.
Marseille and Nice are right next door to one another. It's only about
I don't know.
15,
France.
20-minute drive.
Wait a minute. I'm thinking of somewhere else. Where am I thinking of?
Are you thinking of Nantes?
Rennes. Is it Rennes?
Rennes. Yeah. Rennes.
Rennes. Rennes is where I'm thinking of. Because Rennes have just signed
I mean,
the Welsh lad. Spurs.
There's worse places to live, isn't there, than in sunny France?
Joe Rodon, that's it.
South of France.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than north of France.
I wouldn't want to live in France, regardless. I don't like France.
Hate Paris. I hate
what,
Paris.
What have you got against France?
Have you been to Paris? It's terrible. Yeah. You go outside of the city centre and you just... Like, I'm born and bred in Bradford, and I never felt like I was going to get stabbed more than when I was out in Paris. And that's saying something.
It's rough. It can be rough in Paris if you go to the wrong areas. I just don't like the French because, well, the French, they smell, the food's not nice, and they're arrogant.
I completely beg to differ on all those fronts. I absolutely love it.
I don't like it.
I am.
They've got a social conscience for starters. I absolutely love that about them.
Like
but they think you're they think if you like eat a sandwich at your desk, they think that's like the equivalent of eating out of a bin.
Like you.
Okay, yeah, all right then. I'm not going to work in France. Then put it that way.
So you work.
I'll come in my foot-long subway and everyone's head to fall.
You walk out the city centre in France and it turns into Friday the 13th or something like that. It's just
No, I mean this. If Everton never got to a cup final, that was being happening in France. Unless you could give me a free ticket and fly me there.
It's been announced.
It's what?
It's been announced, yeah.
Ghana's announced.
Breaking news.
Everton have just tweeted it. Ghana's announced. Yeah, all the fancy graphics are here. He looks... Oh, no, he's cracking a smile. He doesn't look that miserable.
Does he suit the blue?
He does suit the blue, to be fair. To say he played in red before as well.
Yeah. United and Forest, wasn't it? Some players just suit certain colours, don't they? Like, you could never imagine Steven Gerrard playing in a blue jersey, whether it was for us or for Chelsea or for Leicester. It just wouldn't look right, was it? And certain players you can't have a picture in red.
It's like Raul. I see pictures of Raul from Real Madrid when he played for Schalke, and there's just something about it that just makes me always double take.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. It was like that. I imagine it was like that for Figo when he was wearing the Barca kit, and then he swapped to Real wearing all white.
He got forced into that, didn't he? Basically.
Well, no. If you, I don't want to give it away. If you watch that documentary that's on Netflix, it tells you the full story of exactly what happened. Yeah, I'd definitely watch it. It's brilliant.
Figo, 2 words, and you'll be shocked to know Florentino Perez is.
It's on Netflix. It got released last week. The Figo Affair. It's called The Figo Affair.
I know it was Florentino Perez promised that if he got elected,
basically they paid in Spain. There's a law where every player has got to have a buyout clause in their contract. It's got to be some sort of fee. That's why he has a buyout clause in his contract, and Perez basically made him a deal where if I activate your buyout clause, you have to agree to sign for it. You can't say, well, I don't want to sign the contract with you. And he ended up leaving and going to Real.
Stupid amount of money back then. Well, didn't they play like? I know he ended up being worth it, but played like 60 mil for Zidane in 2004. Something daft like that.
Yeah.
And it's still up there for one of the most expensive transfers now.
Yes. Figo to Barca is still 20 years later, still the most controversial transfer in football history. Imagine in the summer when it was all the stuff was like all the whispers were going on about his contract. Imagine if Salah had left Liverpool and signed for United this summer. And imagine that and then times that by about 5. That was what Figo leaving Barcelona. Yeah, Coachella. Yeah, Little Pig got thrown out. That was probably one of the least offensive things that got thrown at him. He got glass bottles thrown at him and everything. Yeah, had like death threats to the hotel. Like they found out what hotel he was in and were trying to get in the hotel with knives to find his hotel room.
Yeah, it's
But
just
no, 100% watch that. It's on Netflix now. If anyone who's got it, the Figo affair, where it talks to everybody who's involved. It talks to Figo. It talks to the Perez. It talks to the then president of Barcelona. Guardiola's in it as well. It was Figo's best mate at Barcelona. Talks to Figo's ex-agent, who was the one doing all the phone calls, negotiating. It's absolutely fascinating. You find out exactly what the story is from Figo himself.
That'd be good, that.
Garner should be able to play, shouldn't he, on Saturday? I can imagine he'll come off the bench, but
if the Premier League have a working day,
I couldn't believe that.
Depends. The Premier League ratification people had the morning coffee. They can't sign anything off unless they've had.
They done, yeah. They done a sickie, yeah.
What was it? Because it was a bank holiday Monday. They were like, "Yeah, sorry, mate, not happening."
Yeah, even though they said it wasn't a working day, even though there was Premier League games happening that day, which must mean that there was people in the Premier League offices doing work. It's got to be because they've got to register the teams, haven't they?
I think it was one of those types of working days, like those ones that Boris Johnson used to have.
Yeah,
please tell me you've seen the video of him raiding someone's house.
Yeah, so he's in the flat and with like a stab vest on. I saw he did a video talking about how buying a kettle would save you money every year. Buying a new kettle for £10 would save you money on your bills.
That man is a fool. That man is a fool.
No, that's too nice a word, mate. I genuinely, like, if he got stabbed on that raid he was doing, and if his vest was faulty and he got stabbed, then I'd be drinking beer right now, not Pepsi Max.
It's just the geezer is just this. This is how much is happening on deadline day. We're talking about Boris Johnson now. This is how much is happening. You know, it's just I do not give a flying anything about politics because it never changes. Never has in my lifetime anyway. It's all been the same. But even I knew how out of his depth he was.
Well, he wants to treat it like not public office. There's a lot of politicians who treat public office like they're being elected the king. It's like, no, being the prime minister or the president is not the same as being the emperor. Do you know what I mean? You've still got. You don't just get to decide absolutely everything and no one can argue with you. You're meant to be doing things that benefit people, and if you're getting things wrong, you're meant to be held to task. Whereas there's people who want to pretend like if you're the president in America, you're basically like the emperor of China back in the Middle Ages, where basically you can have 55 wives, servants who wipe your ass, and if anyone says no, then they get your tongues cut out, or you throw them in the dungeon.
How the hell have we got onto this?
It's just Callum's just nailed it because there's nothing happening with Everton, or seemingly nothing happening.
There is one thing that is happening. James Garner's literally just been announced.
Yeah, but we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, so I've been saying it. That deal was done by that deal was done by 6 o'clock.
I'm going to go back to the Mark Mulvey tweet before about if they left it this late to announce to cover up the fact that they haven't got a striker.
There's still 40 minutes left now, though. They haven't announced it on the deadline, which means, surely by logic, that out of nowhere, we're signing
Benzema. Haven't finished yet.
That we're going to see Benzema in an Everton shirt by the end of the day.
Does anyone see that link from earlier on? It's clearly bogus, but do you see anyone that person who was linking us to Gnabry?
It was nonsense.
Oh, hell, that was a bit early to be breaking out the cocaine, wasn't it? Whatever. I don't know what he was on. Yeah, tweeted that. Yeah.
Oh, it's all
whatever
right.
That fella's had for his tea.
Garner has just signed, but don't worry, Connor's done a video on it. That's already out. It's all okay. We can still talk about Boris Johnson.
That is precision. That is swift. But about Garner, would he be a sort of sitting midfielder then? He looks like the most likely to sit deep out of all of the players we've got now in that position.
Box to box.
Yeah, he's in like the Takore mold, I think. Yeah, I don't see.
What Onana was for.
I think
Onana's.
I think Garner is a lot more of the
bullies, all the opposite.
Oh.
Yeah,
Garner's got a lot more finish over his product than Onana. Like, he's much better passer.
Yeah, he's gonna be the player who turns the ball over, isn't he? He's gonna be the player who receives the ball and then feeds it on to the forward three.
He's quite.
Whereas Onana's just going to be the guy. Onana is going to be like more a McCarthy type, just someone who's breaking up the play constantly and winning the ball back.
I think we'll see Garner getting forward a lot for. It's fair. Both of them should get a chance to get forward quite a decent bit since they're going to have just a gear
behind them. Yeah, I just said it can do the number 6 job, or he could. Hopefully, he's still the same player. He'll do the job of 2 players easily.
I could see. I don't know what I could see, to be honest. I don't see Garner coming off the bench. There's no way he drops Iwobi. He's our best player right now.
Yeah, I think it will be 4-3-3 with Onana, Garner, Gay, and Iwobi, with Takore and Garner, James Garner, kind of being the players who kind of come in and out when they're needed. Type thing. I don't
to differentiate all these Garners. This
Garner, Onana.
That's what I mean. Unless we have an injury crisis, I just don't see how Davis or Alan are going to get it looking. He clearly doesn't really rate Alan, does he? Because he's hardly used them. And Davis is Davis, isn't he? Like, he only ever gets game time whenever there's no other option.
Speaking of Alan, my mate Alan Myers here has said Everton's transfer window's done.
Yeah, looks like no striker then. We've
got 35 minutes of time to make up.
Well, Alan Myers only knows what he's told, doesn't he? For all, he's not like an absolutely. Well, I like Alan, but he's not. He's not Fabrizio Romano, where if he says it, then it's absolutely nailed on.
That is very true. I do hope.
Alan's only told. Alan only knows what the club wants to know. Do you know what I mean?
I hope this is a behind the scenes, a Danny Ings to Villa thing, where it comes out of nowhere.
I don't mind if the club have decided not to leak it to the press. I mean, I'd love the club to actually just announce something that nobody's ever.
They're taking a gamble because I get why they think Calvert-Lewin and Maupay, or Maupai, whatever he's called, pronounce it, will do us up front. But the thing is, are we going to get more than 15 games out of Calvert-Lewin? Because if we don't, then we did need another option. Because Rondon is not. I'm sorry, no, Rondon is not a fair choice striker. He's not a 5th choice striker.
Yeah. Well, Martin here puts that we've got Garner's a really good set piece player, which is something we're crying out for.
Yeah, we haven't got anyone who can take a set. Gordon. I've never really seen Gordon. It's a good set piece, and Gray can't hit a set piece to save his life. I want him off corners.
He should have a decent left peg on him. Like, he could probably put a decent.
He does, yeah, but it's when if and when he manages to get his confidence, isn't it? I want a player who 9 times out of 10 will always hit a good ball. I'm not saying he has to score every free kick, but you just know every set piece he takes is going to beat the first man.
So I see Garner starting then. If we're going to bring him in for set pieces and stuff like that, I can definitely see him starting because no one on our team can take a set piece to save their life.
We haven't really got a dead ball specialist, that's all, have we?
No, and we've actually got players who can win an aerial battle as well. Are you ready for Diego Costa on a free then, lads?
Ross Barkley in it. It's going to be Ross Barkley.
I'm waiting for the tweet. I'm waiting for the Ye's back tweet.
Bring the blue home.
Do you know what? Because it's on a free transfer. because it's on a free transfer, do it. Do it for the carnage. Do it for the carnage. No. Just do it.
No, go up to Celtic or Rangers and play in that shit league where you belong. Because that's where I think that's where he's going to go. He'll rock up in SPL.
Do you remember the Pogba thing? It's going to be like Bach or something.
Ross back.
Ross Barkley.
No, because the thing is, we'll sign him and we'll register him on time. You know he'll get 1 goal for Everton and it'll be a winner against Liverpool.
No, come on. That happens for Liverpool against us, not us against them. No, if we signed Barkley, he'd get lost on. Any money's forgotten how to get to Goodison from his mum's house, wherever they are.
1 goal would be against Chelsea, probably.
No, his 1 goal will be an own goal. That doesn't cost us a game. No, like if Barkley came back to play for us, then I'm convinced, like on his first game, because he's that much of an idiot and he's brainless, he'd get lost. He lives with his mum.
Do you know what? If the season's going to be a disaster, bring Ross Barkley in for the few. I want to see Everton Twitter's reaction to it. I want to see Paul's reaction on Twitter when Ross Barkley,
If we bring Barkley back, then Oh my God!
Hashtag Ross back on Twitter.
That would be even worse than taking Jose Baxter back for me to be coach of the kids, even though he was a drug addict. Yeah, not only can you, we took him back, even though he'd had an absolute nothing career in the lower leagues, and we were bringing him back to coach Lewis Dobbin, Lewis Sims, who were trying to make the breakthrough. We bring Ross Barkley back. We're basically saying to all these players, yeah, be an arsehole who F's the club over royally and squanders all your talent, and you're just like an absolute dope who can't get any better no matter what manager you play for. And you can just be one of them, and we'll still love you because it'll work for me.
Bring Darren Gibson back as a specialist driving instructor for the young lads.
Yeah. Also, we'll give him a job at some point and justify it. Yeah, we're bringing him. We did it with Baxter. Yeah, the reason to bring him back was he can help educate these players on how to not squander their careers. What are you going to tell them? Don't do drugs. I'm sure they get taught that in school, you know.
What's going on?
Wept.
This is what Everton does to you. This is what Everton does to you.
Tell me.
Pain.
Well, for some good news, Alan Myers has just said expect Andre Gomez to join Lille.
Oh,
So
that's something. Thank goodness for that. That's the equivalent of signing another midfielder. Just the fact that he's gone.
We'd hang on to him so we could play up front.
I mean, I don't really know how I feel about him. I'm making jokes, but he did get that horrific injury, and he's never recovered from it. If not physically, at least mentally, he's never ever recovered. But I thought he was on the way down even before that injury. Personally, I just think he's a player who isn't cut out for this league. If he put him in Italy, he'd look a baller when no one goes near you because he has got some decent ball control, but he just can't cope at all when he's being pressed, and he's in the wrong league if he doesn't want to have. If you're a player who needs to have more than 3 or 4 seconds to make your minds up what you're going to do with the ball, then you're in the completely wrong league. Gomez, but good luck to him. Not in personal, but
yeah, bit off topic. What's Aruna Kone up to right now? We're bringing back the
probably working in next behind the counter.
Bring back the greatest hits. Nias, Kone, Barkley, free transfer.
Is Nias still at Huddersfield?
Burton
Albion, yeah. He signed for Burton Albion in League One. Is he still there?
I don't actually know.
Umar.
Yeah, he's still at Burton. He's still going strong at Burton.
Oh, are they not managed by like Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank or something like that?
Oh, hang on a minute. No, they've got rid of him.
Oh, bring him back.
Roberto Martinez made him one of our record transfers at the time, and 6 years later, he's getting released by League One teams.
He was the first signing of Mashiri's tenure, wasn't he? He was like our equivalent of Robinho at City.
I don't know because we signed him late in January, didn't we? When did Mashiri actually come in?
Mashiri come in a couple of weeks later, didn't he?
Yeah. No, he was one of the final signings of pre-Mashiri when it was still Kenwright, who was the majority shareholder.
Where do we find that kind of money for him from? If we didn't have the owner yet, unless we knew he was coming in.
We just had the money because we didn't spend it in that summer, did we? We'd
because we
sold Naismith to Norwich, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we didn't buy Van Dijk for 12 million. Instead, we bought Funes Mori for 10 million.
Yeah, and we got about 10 million off Norwich for Stephen Naismith.
I don't think Umar Nias ever scored more than 10 goals in a season for Lokomotiv Moscow. He didn't.
No, well, everyone was justifying saying, well, he could be a decent player because he won like Russian player of the player of the season in Russia. He didn't. He won like some stupid award. Like when they're saying he won an award, it wasn't like he got that from like the Russian FA, or the Russian or something that was voted for by the players. You know what he won? He won a Twitter poll that was made by some football account that tweets about Russian football. Basically won a poll set up by some Twitter account of who's been the player who's impressed you the most this season, and he won it by it was like only 5,000 people voted overall, and he got the most votes. People were using that of this. Well, he was the Russian player of the Russian League player of the season. It's like no, he just came top of some Gibbs poll.
We are shambles. It's the other way.
It's a circus, isn't it?
Oh, it's just if you don't laugh.
Well,
Didn't
we bid for João Pedro, and we told Watford we'll match Newcastle's bid. As soon as Newcastle bids, we'll come in and match it, and we'll let the player decide. And then by the time we actually came in with a bid, Watford said, "Well, that was 2 weeks ago. It's too late now, no matter what you bid." That was what I was reading earlier on. I can't remember who tweeted it. I think it was an Athletic journalist, I think, saying Everton told Watford weeks ago that they would match any potential Newcastle bid. And then Newcastle did bid, and it got knocked back. And then we bid after Newcassil, and we got told it doesn't matter what you bid now, he's not going regardless. Because it's too late in the day.
Bid in on deadline day, and they said it's
Whereas if we'd have just put that bid in, a week beforehand, before Newcastle had bid, then we might have got him.
No, we'd 100% have got him.
It was 25 million plus 5 million in add-ons, wasn't it?
We could have got that Ismail Assar as well for about the same price. No,
it doesn't look like that Diaz is going to move then.
I mean, he'll move, but he'll move to like Valencia in January.
Spain, somewhere like that. Don't one player I'm surprised hasn't moved at all. Saha, because he's in the last year of his deal, hasn't he? And he started well. So I was thinking that there'd be some mad bid for him. We got linked with him.
Yeah, we're always linked with him, though. We always will.
Yeah, we're always linked with him. But I thought after the start of the season he's had, and the fact that he's in his last year, that Chelsea owner who's crazy would throw in like a mad £50 million bid for him, like today, and it would be like the story of the day type thing, or maybe United would throw in a bid. I thought he would be one of the top stories today, where it'll be, does he or doesn't he leave Palace? Like some clubs decide to just chance their arm on him and just bid something stupid, but I don't even think there's been any solid offers for him. And so Palace are going to... I get why Palace wouldn't want to sell him, because they could go down without him, but they're going to lose him for nothing next summer now.
Martin Kowalski's put here, I'd rather not sign someone than sign a bad player like Tosin or Rondon, etc. I'm actually inclined to agree with that, because I was saying to you earlier, I think it might have been before you joined the show, Paul, I was saying to Callum about the Chukwueze deal.
I was not in favour of that, if it was an obligation to buy.
I'd rather us not panic buy and bring the wrong striker in who may not work out, and then leave us potentially back in the mire with FFP, whereas we seem to be like, I think we'll be out of the woods next summer.
If we sell Calvert-Lewin next summer or someone else, we need another big sale, don't we? We got one this summer, Richarlison, which got us out of trouble, but we're going to need to sell again next summer, and it's who it's going to be. If Calvert-Lewin's injured all season again, then we're probably not going to get any offers for him. So it's whether or not we get another, as we were talking about, whether someone comes back for Gordon or whether there's an offer for Pickford or something. But we're going to have to do another 50 million plus sale in the next 12 months, I think. Whereas if we'd have sold Gordon this summer, that would have meant we're basically out of the woods completely now.
With the window edging to a close now, do you not think we should have sold Gordon? I
would have, but if we were going to sell him, we needed to sell him with at least, I think, 10 days left in the window. Over the last week or so, when there's talk of £60 million bids, I was saying, my opinion was, it doesn't matter what they bid now. There's no time to spend it.
No. Would you not?
We should have sold them when they first bid 40, 50 million, whatever it was. But the minute we got to the last week of August, I think it was just too late today.
But would you have not have took it if they'd have put Brozier in the deal?
Probably, but I don't think Brozier's ever been part of the deal. I don't believe that story that was out yesterday. Did I go off then for a minute, or
yeah?
I was just saying, I don't believe that story that came out in the last few days that they offered 20 million plus Brozier and Gallagher. I think that was just journalists trying to keep the story alive. I would have took that deal even if they'd have offered it today. I would have took that, but I don't think that was ever the offer. I think they made us maybe one or two, because Lampard said that £60 million bid wasn't true. There was no £60 million bid. I think they probably made us an offer of maybe 30 million plus another 10 million in add-ons, or maybe it was 20 million up front and 20 million in add-ons. But everyone who you can usually trust to be telling the truth have all said that Chelsea weren't going to go above 40 million for him. So if it was just 40 million with no players coming to us, and that bid has been made in the last week, then I wouldn't have took that because it's just not it's too late.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it was a position where when you look at some of the things that were rumoured to have been offered, then yeah, they were, money that could have really improved the entire team. But in a matter of fact way, it's just, I don't think, like Paul said, any of those offers actually came in. David Ornstein said Chelsea weren't willing to pay more than 40. So I think all the 60 million stuff was...
Yeah, it was just journalists trying to keep the story going. I don't believe for 1 minute that story of 20 million plus Brozier and Conor Gallagher. I think that's just completely made up.
Yeah, because I still think this has been a good window overall. I think
it's been like, for me, it's been like a 7 out of 10. It's been a good, but it's not been a great, and we probably would have really could have done with a great window.
Another forward really pushes it into that great. Don't think it's going to happen unless we can pull off some sort of like miracle. But I've just seen like a joke on it saying, so Leeds back in like 2014 said, "Oh, deadline day is not done yet." Announced 2 players leaving the club on loan, and then went, "Oh, now our deadline day is done." That's got Everton written all over it. That's got in the next 20 minutes. Tom Cannon, Lewis Warrington have left. Transfer
Gomez has gone to Lille. That's
Gomez.
about it.
You know what? At least I'd end it on a good note.
Do you know what? Because of our fan base and how bipolar they are, if Gomez goes and has a good 3 months out in France, there'll be fans wanting us to take him back. Well, there'll be some idiots out there who'll be saying maybe we should bring him back and give him a chance. He didn't really get much of a look in under Frank, did he? Do you know what I mean? There will be, if he goes out in France and he plays in a league like that and he looks pretty good, there'll be people seriously suggesting that he deserves a run in our team.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's just one of those where that's just what the fan base is like, isn't it? Where
every fan base has got like just deluded nutters in it, but we're one of the worst.
Oh yeah, we might be the worst, to be fair. When it comes to Twitter,
we are the worst when it comes to just heads falling off for no reason. Yeah,
just fume constantly. And it's just one of those where Bro is still trending on Twitter somehow. Let's have a look.
But Brozier and Gallagher, if they're staying at Chelsea, you're wondering where are they going to get their minutes? Do you know what I mean? Especially Gallagher. I mean, Brozier might start in the cup games because they don't want to play Aubameyang where he's going to get kicked off the park because they're going to need him. So Brozier might get because he's quite versatile. Brozier, he can play anywhere across the front three, can't he? He might get some minutes off the bench. But I'm just looking at their midfield and thinking, where does Gallagher really get a look in? If I was him, I think he should have pushed for a loan. And he was promised in the summer, wasn't he, by Tuchel that he was going to get a fair chance in pre-season and he was probably going to be able to stake his claim. But he's not started, I think, in any Chelsea game, has he?
I think Gallagher did, but got subbed.
Was that the only game he started? The one where he got sent off?
The red card game was, I think, the only game he started, or he came off the bench because of an injury.
He got sent off. I think he started that Southampton game because he got a red card in the first half, didn't he? That's been the only game he started, and I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't start another game for months now because he lost his discipline and I know Chelsea came back and won the game, didn't he? But he basically left Chelsea in the mire by doing that. So it wouldn't shock me if Tuchel looks at him and thinks, no, he's not ready, he's too raw.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's just a position where we look at. I think we'll look back at this like next season and go, that was a really good transfer window.
Obviously, it was a sensible window, yeah.
Obviously, it depends on what Maupay does, and obviously, if Calvert-Lewin comes back firing, then maybe they were right in not bringing a forward in. But I think he'll take Calvert-Lewin a bit of an adjustment to get back into that thing.
Groove, yeah.
Martin Cummings has put something here. James, if you notice it, last year Ghana took 14 corners and Forest scored from around 10 of them with 5 or 6 players over 6 foot. We should be scoring numerous goals from free kicks and corners.
Hopefully.
This is
for everyone who's been saying, oh well, he played at Forest and Forest have been signing, made 20 signings I think this summer. Why didn't Forest go back for him? I think just at the start with, at the beginning of the window, Ten Hag wanted to have a good look at Ghana and see whether there was a place for him. And he's obviously had that chance now and he's decided probably, no, he's not going to be a starter. I think if Garner would have stayed in United squad, he would have got some minutes here and there, like Gallagher and Brozier are probably going to do for Chelsea. But he's at the point in his career now where he wants to go somewhere, and if not be a guaranteed starter, at least he's got far more of a chance of becoming a starter at Everton than he has at United. And I think because they were knocked back straight away, Nottingham Forest, they went and just got up the options. They got that, was it Kuarte from Palace?
Oh yeah, Kuarte, yeah.
Kuarte, yeah. Forest went and they inquired for Garner, and when United said, no, we're not willing to discuss that right now, we want to take our time and look at him, I think Forest went, well, okay, then we'll go and get someone else now for cheaper, because they've been in a rush all summer, haven't they? If you'd have said to Forest, hang on 3 weeks while we have a look at him in pre-season, see if he's any good, they've clearly just gone, no, we're not going to hang on 3 weeks, we're just going to go get someone else now then, because they've just been signing players for a laugh.
Yeah, well, but there's some things from Gibbo here, but I'm just going to read this out from Marc Mechino, French journalist. Does stuff for Goal France. Lille are awaiting the validation of the LFP to formalise the arrival of Andre Gomes. So
I think he is going to do well out there. I think it's the same as Schneiderlin. I don't dislike Gomes anywhere near as much as I dislike Schneiderlin, but I think they're just these players. They just want to go and have they just need to go and have an easy life somewhere. Go and play in a nice part of the world. I mean, I went to Lille and got tear gassed, so maybe it's not a nice part of the world, but they just need to go somewhere where it's kind of out of the goldfish bowl, like that Liverpool Merseyside is. Somewhere where if you have a bad game, you're not going to get loads of stick on Twitter from like fans who are passionate. Imagine if Lille lose a football game. There's no Lille fan who's gone into work the next day absolutely livid over it. It's probably not like the be-all and end-all of their life, is it? But they just need to go somewhere just very, very more settled and quiet where they can feel relaxed and they can have 3 or 4 poor games and no one really notices and they can just get on with it type thing. He will. I reckon he'll go out there and do well for himself. It's just we can't delude ourselves to thinking that just because he goes and does well in the French league, he could come back here and do something for Everton, because we've seen it over the last 3 years. He's absolutely incapable of doing anything for this Everton team, Andre Gomes.
Yeah, well, Gibbo put here, what do we think of Moise Kean? I think it's a difficult one. You know, I think he's a good player. I think there's talent there. He showed it at PSG. I just think it's
just too much too soon, wasn't it, for him? I think he's a Balotelli type player, just less crazy. No, he's not going to be like.
I do think he'd do a job if he came back now. Under Frank, I think he'd do a job.
I don't. He pulled up no trees. Juve don't even want him. Juve have been trying to flog him all summer. They don't want to. They're stuck with him. They have to pay the bit for him. The obligation, don't they? They took him on a 2-year loan. They've got to pay us the money next summer for him, and they're trying to get out of it. They were trying to sell him to Roma, trying to palm the deal off on them. He did not score many goals. He did not score many goals last season. He played a lot. Got less than 10. And he got quite a few games as well. I just think maybe he'll settle down because he's still very young, isn't he? And he'll get going somewhere eventually if he just finds the right club for him. But I think it was just a classic case of too much too soon. And he's a bit of a Balotelli-like character, where not like Balotelli, like he's setting fireworks off in his house and he's going out to nightclubs and having fights, or he's going to schools to like shout at bullies and all that, like Balotelli did if you read these stories. But I think he's just someone who take him away from his mum and his siblings and put him in a foreign country with a lot of money. His head fell off and he hasn't been able to just get his head down and get himself screwed down on. So I just think going back to Italy was what was right for him, but he's gone back to a Juventus side that is in flux, isn't it? And isn't the same Italian champions that he left. Yeah, because Juve have been all over the place the last few years.
Yeah, I think if he was going to leave for another club, a big club, it should have been PSG. And I think he did well.
You say that, yeah, but he did do well at PSG, but it's PSG, isn't it? Like me and you would probably get 3 or 4 goals playing for PSG. Do you know what I mean? Wasn't it Carlo Ancelotti himself who said, you should, if you're playing for PSG as a forward, you should be scoring, no matter what your ability is. You've got Mbappe and Neymar creating for you.
Oh, yeah. Messi now as well, even, But he got 5 goals, 2 assists last season. Yeah, he only made 12 starts, to be fair, but, it's one of those where... do you know what? I think if you chucked him into a mid-table Serie A team, he'd score goals. I really do, but...
Yeah, I do. I think that he's still young enough where he can properly get going in his career. I just think he needs to find the right place for himself, the right manager, the right club.
I think he needs a Mourinho.
Yeah, and I just don't think Everton were not the right place for him, and Juve in 2022 are not the right place for him. Put him in, I don't know, Atalanta, then I think he'd go there and do all right.
Oh, yeah. I think he's got all the tools to be a really good striker, but unfortunately, he moved to Everton. That's, I think,
he didn't do himself justice. He didn't impress though at Everton. But he came on. He was only here 1 year, and he made a lot of appearances off the bench, didn't he? And he'd come on, and he'd be an headless chicken at times. Like he did have a few good appearances here and there.
He had played really well against Bournemouth when Bournemouth beat us, and he was like the only good player on the pitch that game for us. I think he scored twice that game. I think he only scored 2, and it was both against.
No, he got one against Newcastle as well. That game where we threw it away. That was his first one against Newcastle. Yeah. But I remember watching him, and he'd come on, and even though he was playing, he come on with like 70 minutes left, wasn't he? Sorry, 20 minutes left in the game. He made like 20 plus appearances off the bench, and he'd come into games, and he just would be not up to the speed of it at all. He'd be waiting for the ball to arrive to him. It seemed like he just wasn't. Obviously, he would have improved that he had another second season. It did look like a player who was just out of his elements because he'd never played in this league before, but he was getting bullied by defenders, and he was waiting too long. He wanted every ball to be perfect for him. He wasn't like using his initiative and making runs. He was just wanted everything into his feet, perfect, and defenders were just marking him out of games easily. And he was meant to be like this really rapid kid, and you'd think running behind these tired centre halves, make yourself available. And he just wouldn't. He just looked like a player who was going to take a long time to adapt to England, and obviously we ran out of patience quite quick.
I think it's the physical.
It was a gamble that didn't work. It was a Marcel Brands signing.
I mean, to be fair, was it a gamble? We've ended up making a profit on him.
Yeah, it was. It was a gamble because we needed a player to come in and make a difference straight away, and he kind of didn't, did he? If he'd have got firing in that season, then he could have been the difference between us not getting Europe and not getting in Europe, because we didn't get Europe with him, did we?
Because
he finished.
If he'd have had a good end to that season, would he have not then?
He probably could have kicked us on, couldn't he?
We could have had him as even just a bench option. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think the season we finished 10th, was he with us that season under Carlo?
No, I'm thinking of the year before. He started with Marco Silva, didn't he? And then Silva got sacked, and then Carlo came in. And I think Carlo.
I do remember he started to do a bit better under Carlo. I do remember some of the fans being like, "Oh, he could do something here," and then he got loaned out to PSG. He played like 2 games.
Carlo clearly, Carlo wasn't dead set on him, because Carlo surely signed off on that loan deal, didn't he? Carlo wouldn't have agreed to loan him if he had plans for him. But when Carlo came in, we ended up finishing that season in 11th. But if he'd have got going at any point, if he'd have gone on a little run where he got maybe, 4 goals in 5 or 5 goals in 7 or something, that could have got us into the top half. Do you know what I mean? So it was a gamble in the sense that we needed a player who would come in, because no one knew. That was the season that Calvert-Lewin really started getting amongst the goals, wasn't it? I think he ended up with 14 that year. He got more goals the season after the lockdown season, but in that season, I think he finished with about 13 or 14. Whereas every other season, he only got like 4 or 5, didn't he?
Yeah.
So Calvert-Lewin,
and then 16, the year when we almost got Europe. And
then Calvert-Lewin really started to come into his own a bit, which no one predicted. When we signed Moise Keane, everyone thought we were signing him to be the starter, and he never really put in a convincing performance. And this coincided with Calvert-Lewin starting to score, regularly. So it was a gamble in the sense that if he came in and was, pretty good straight away, then it could have been the difference between us getting Europe and not getting in Europe. But as you said, it's not any really thing to be mad about, because we're getting our money back, aren't we? So it's just of, okay, didn't work out. See you later, mate. Good luck with your career.
Yeah, that's it. That loan spell at PSG saved us.
Yeah, I can't believe they wanted him after this. Why, when they had the front line, they saw some, squad player at Everton who came in and got 2-3 goals all season. Why they would think they would want him, I don't know. Maybe he's got a mate in the PSG team, or he's got Raiola, his agent. Yeah, it's Raiola's convinced them, probably.
They probably knew that, our league's easier than theirs. He can come in, play again in the team that'll create a ridiculous amount of chances a game. And I think they thought at first, we can sign him off Everton, pawn him off for a profit after he has another year bagging
Yeah.
loads in.
Exactly.
I think they looked at him and went, you're easy profit, you. But then they didn't end up getting him. Juve ended up getting him.
Yeah. And I think Raiola's his agent as well. Well, Raiola's not with us. Raiola's passed on now, hasn't he? But that helps. The fact that he had Raiola, who's got loads of players at PSG. He probably went to, I don't know who, is it Leonardo, their director?
I think
someone like that. It's a Brazilian. It's a Brazilian guy, isn't it? That's why there's loads of Brazilians at PSG. But Raiola's probably got on the phone to him and convinced them that, you know, this young kid is going to be absolutely brilliant if you just give him a chance. Like, he's probably told them a story of how Everton weren't fair to him. He doesn't like playing in England, and the manager's not giving him enough chances. Whereas the reality is, he got chances and he didn't take them.
He got like 20 odd chances.
Yeah.
Even that bloody Fulham have signed that Carlos Vinicius who played for Spurs a few years ago for like £4 million.
Is he that one who played for Tottenham and he scored past Marine in the FA Cup and he was acting like he was in back. He did celebrations like he was scoring the Champions League final when he was scoring past the gang of part-timers.
He's a bit Rondon-esque, isn't he?
Like we said,
I didn't want to do him down that much, mate. But...
Yeah, because even for Tottenham, he got 10 goals in 22 games. I don't know how many of those were against Marine, though.
I think like 3. I think if he got a few, but he was doing like mad celebrations in front of like 50 people who were there, and those players had clearly all like been to work, had all knocked off because it was Marine and the part-timers. They'd all probably knocked off work at 5 o'clock and gone straight there to play a game of 90 minutes against the Premier League team, and he was doing like the Mbappe like tilting his head to the side and doing like crossing his arms like as if he was scoring in the Champions League knockout rounds. Like, mate, you just scored past Marine AFC.
You know he's scoring a hat-trick now, though.
Yeah, he's somehow going to get shown this, isn't he? And thinking, I'm going to shut that gobby lad's mouth and score past Everton.
I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but there you go.
Andre Gomez.
He's gone.
Has there been any word on like how much? I know they're not paying a fee for him, but is there anything like, oh, they're paying the bulk of his wages, or because that will be the only reason we've agreed to it. They've agreed to get his wages off our bill, but I'd like to know. I'd like if they were paying all his wages, or at least most of it, rather than us just paying a fraction of it, and that we're just desperate to get rid of him.
I think something will come out now that he's actually gone. Something will come out tomorrow or at some point today saying,
if there's an option to buy, then I'd love that, because I think he'll go out there and he'll do well enough to convince them to buy him.
Yeah. Even not, though. Even if there's not one, he could always come back and then either them, and if he smashes it and he one of the best midfielders in France, which definitely could be with the level of that football, and if he can get to his, his best. Then...
Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? I hope it works out for him. There's nothing personal against him. I just don't want to see him at Everton at all anymore, because he's nowhere near good enough. It wasn't like Schneiderlin where I just wanted to bolt the fella out the door. First chance we got,
Schneiderlin
hasn't worked out, has it?
Schneiderlin was actually good in England for Was it Southampton?
Yeah, he did well for Southampton, and he did well for 6 months at us. But then we started trying to be a bit more progressive with the ball, weren't we? And it just didn't suit him, or he didn't make the effort to try and suit him. He had too many games where he was just lazy. In the end, we saw Schneiderlin was a player with ability. When he could be bothered, he could be great. He did well in that game that Ferguson took, the one we won against Chelsea.
Yeah,
the 3-1. Ferguson at Goodison. He was the man of the match in that. He was absolutely. He blocked everything. He put in like a record amount of tackles, I think.
Yeah,
in that game, and he was amazing. But the mood didn't take him often enough.
Right, it's just been announced. Andre Gomez has moved to Lille.
Good.
Looks like a season low. Yeah, it's a loan till the end of the season.
Good luck to him. I hope he kind of does all right out there, because he's not. He doesn't seem like a bad egg at all. He's nowhere near good enough to be playing any part in Everton's future plans.
I am just praying that there's some deal that's gone under the radar that we've got done, and it's just going to get announced in the morning. They won't announce it tonight. They'll wait till the morning.
There might be. Because as we said a few hours ago, I think as long as the deal's a certain way along the line, then the FA will let you just kind of have a few extra hours to get the paperwork all signed off.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think we just needed one for cover purposes. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't want 50 million on a striker. I just wanted someone.
Yeah, I didn't want another Rondon. Do you know what I mean? We don't just want a striker for the sake of having a striker. We wanted one who we were quite sure could come in and do something good for us. But if you'd have said to me the only striker you're going to get is just some big yard dog who's going to get maybe 1 or 2 goals all year, then what's the point? You'd rather just save the wages, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I am happy about Morpe though. I think Morpe is a very good player. I think he gets quite underrated because of the fact he just winds everyone up, and so he's more known for that than actual footballing ability. Like, I don't think his goal returns are awful.
No, he's got
gets
like 8 or 9 goals. I think the reason is that people just assume he's not going to be good is because Brighton are a team that create a lot of chances, and he hasn't really. He's never had a season where he's hit double figure goals in the league, has it? And people are looking at it thinking, well, when you're in a team as creative with Brighton, you can't say you don't get chances to score. You don't know.
They rotate a lot though, Brighton.
They do.
He's got 32 appearances, but I can guarantee he only started about 20. Guarantee.
Yeah.
And if
you don't know,
don't get me wrong.
Certain players, don't look anything good at other clubs, and then when they get here, they absolutely set the world on fire. It used to happen all the time under Moyes, and it's happened a couple of times since, hasn't it? But
yeah, 25 goals, 25 starts he got last season.
And he got 8 goals?
A fair few, but 10 goal contributions in 25 starts. It's not the worst. For £12 million as well.
If he can get 7 or 8 goals for us in the league, and maybe 10 overall, because he's going to start a few cup games, you'd think, when we're resting Calvert-Lewin. If he can get double-figure goals this season in all competitions, then I think it was a move that was worth it. It's only if he gets like 3 or 4, then you'd look back at it thinking, no, that was a deal that wasn't worth it in the end. He has to get 10 goals in all competitions, and if he manages that, then it will be a deal that was, in hindsight, a very good one. Because we just need to get more goals in the team, just spread the goals out. We can get him getting 9 or 10 goals. If Gordon can keep going and get maybe 8 or 9, if McNeil can get maybe 5 or 6 at some point, because I think that McNeil will get going at some point, and if Calvert-Lewin can get fit and manage a dozen plus goals, then we're looking suddenly a lot healthier, aren't we? We just need to get more goals in this team and more players capable of scoring, because certain players who are in the team who've got ability, but they're just they're never ever going to get over a certain amount. So for a fact, Damari Gray is never going to get more than 4 or 5 at the most. That Decore is probably not going to get more than 3 or 4, and he might not even get that now, because I don't see how he gets back on our team. Onana, you don't know about. We just haven't got any players who you look at and you think they're absolutely nailed on to get this amount of goals this year. And if it's anything close to 10, then it's good.
Yeah.
For a midfield player, at least, or a second choice striker.
Well, transfer window is officially closed now. It doesn't mean that if we have done something secretly, we can't not sign them.
Yeah, we just won't hear about it until probably the morning.
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't be too shocked if it turns out we just pulled some mad loan from somewhere, and we've just it doesn't get fully registered until 1 or 2 in the morning, and we only hear about it when we're waking up. But
yeah, it won't surprise me, but I don't think that's the case. Unfortunately, I do think this is it. But if we do end that there, what would you rate this out of 10 as a window overall? I think you said a 7, didn't you, Paul?
7 or a 7.5, I'll give it, because I do think we've done well getting the midfielders in that we've got. I'd give it a 7.5 if this is it.
Yeah,
I'd
agree. I think I'd agree 7.5. Maybe
good win, a good window, but after what's happened last season and the sort of how down everybody was and how worried everyone's been, we really needed a good 9 or 10 out of 10 window, or a 10 out of 10 window, something to just really give fans hope, something to be excited about. Whereas we haven't really got anything to be excited about. We've just got stuff that means we can be a bit more optimistic.
Yeah, I do think
here. Just come up here. Apparently, Leeds are going in for Ben Brett and Diaz.
They won't surprise me. That if Leeds snick Dalen last minute. Toffee Blues have put here, are we stronger than last season? Yeah, that's not 100%. This is a much better side than last season.
Yeah, that's why I don't think we are going to be in a relegation battle. I mean, you can never be sure, touch wood, but we just look a lot more solid. Our defence and our midfield is far better. So even if we're not getting tons of goals, I just don't see us shipping anywhere near as many. There'll be a lot more tighter games this season. We just need to make sure that we are the team coming out on top in these tight games. We'll have a lot of games that finish 1-0 or 2-1. There won't be games that we win 3-0 or lose 3-0 or worse. Every game will feel like it's going to be tight. We just need to make sure we've got the strength of character in the team to make sure that we're the team that's getting over the line.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's
this season.
Yeah, it'll just be a very, very competitive, hard slog of a year. But as long as we're not anywhere, as long as at no point, I'm not judging the table now. There's no point looking at the table and looking at the points tallies. The season starts properly for me after the derby at the weekend. Sad that you've got to say that, but it's just the Everton way, isn't it? We always have to wait until the 1st of September before we properly get going. But from October onwards, let's give it another month. If from October onwards, as long as we are 5 points or more ahead above the relegation zone, then I'm not worried. If we go, 3 or 4 points from the bottom three at any point after October, then I would be worried. But as long as we get some sunlight between us and the relegation zone by the winter, when the winter months come, then I think there's no need for anyone to be overly worried.
I hate this club. For a second, I saw Everton have tweeted something, and they've retweeted again. I'm getting sick of it.
Well, he is right, wasn't he? Whoever said that shout of Everton are going to announce James Garner very late in the day, just to cover for the fact that they haven't got a striker.
And he was going to be the case.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now. They're retweeting that. Look, we got this midfielder. Yeah, we all knew we were getting him like 3-4 days ago.
He's been done for it. It's been done since about 6 p.m.
Easily, it's been done from 10 minutes after he walked into Finch Farm, and I saw the clip on Twitter of him and his agent walking in the front door. I think about 6 o'clock when I was eating my tea.
I think it's just one of those, isn't it? Where I think if Neil Maupay can perform to, like you said, an 8-10 goal a season standard, then I do think we will be fine. But then we have to rely on that. Hopefully Calvert-Lewin can come back. Hopefully now it's not a Rafa situation where he's nursed to full health. He isn't going to come on the pitch still, not 100%. And then when he does finally start playing again for Everton, he's 100% and ready to play. And then
if Maupay can get anywhere close to double figures, and Calvert-Lewin can get double figures, even if it's just 11 or 12, ideally you'd want more because he's shown that he's got the ability to be getting 15, 16, 17. But if as long as Calvert-Lewin gets double figure goals this season and Maupay's not far behind that, then there'll be absolutely no chance we go down.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all the season's going to be. That's all the season's going to be. That's all anyone should expect. Just don't have a season that was anywhere close to the last one.
I've just seen a clip on Twitter, and it's that "What's My Name" from Rihanna, and it's Onana Ghana Gay.
Some commentators are going to have a nightmare with that, aren't they?
I can't wait until Martin Tyler at what is he now like?
Not even him. I'm talking about like the commentators for like like on these jog streams that you get, like like NBC in America or who were the ones who do it out in Saudi Arabia? What's that channel that Gray and Keys are on?
Be in,
yeah. People who are doing the commentary for them, like these like Z-list standard commentators, they're going to really struggle. Like ex-players from like the 90s.
Oh yeah,
just getting a bit of work where they can.
Gary Bartles.
Yeah, and who's that fella who won the FA Cup with us? But every time he commentates, he's always talking shit.
Oh, Hinchcliffe.
Hinchcliffe, yeah, the likes of him, they're gonna have a nightmare with it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where, obviously, I think we could have had a 9 or even a 10 transfer window. For example, I'd want to give it a 10, but I'd definitely give a 9 if we signed Brereton Diaz, 100%. But there is still January. There is still January. Yeah.
You got to look at it and you think, how realistic is it for you to sort every position in your squad out in one window? It's not really. You just got to get you sort 2 or 3 positions out in one window, and then you get the other 2 or 3 that you need to sort out done in another window. That's when they say, don't judge a manager or a director of football by how many years they've been in the job. Judge them by how many transfer windows they've had, because they won't get everything they want to get done in 1 or 2 windows.
I feel like we always do one big bit of business on January as well. It's like a tradition. There's always one.
Yeah, it's always like January's always been one of those years where we do something crazy. It hasn't always worked out, but we always do something like really out of the blue, like getting Josh King or getting Dele Alli, or that year that we got Pinar back, or we got that Lucina Traore, didn't we, under Martinez, who everyone was hoping would come in and do well, and he got injured in his first game. We never saw him again. Yeah, it is tradition that we always end up bringing someone in January. It's just sometimes those players turned out to be absolutely.
I think I could very much see Broja joining Everton in January. 100%.
I could, yeah, if he doesn't, him or Gallagher or someone who just has been promised minutes, and they realise by the time January comes around that the manager was just lying to them. And they think, well, no, I should have pushed for a move back in August. I'm 100% want to move in January.
Yeah, I think it is one of those where I do think I don't think I wouldn't, if I was an Everton fan. I mean, if I was, looking into tomorrow, I wouldn't expect any signings. I wouldn't expect maybe a loan deal out. That'd be the most I'd expect. I'd say now.
Yeah, maybe an academy kid. Yeah. Going out just to get some somewhere.
I think it's one of those where I do think business is done now. Don't expect anything. I mean, I'm personally not going to expect anything for the sole purpose of that. It will be better if something happens then. But yeah, even here, Leeds, Blackburn tried to tell Leeds the same thing, and Leeds just straight away went no. So it's one of those where, I think
Blackburn are under no pressure to sell that Diaz, though, are they? So
yeah, his contract expires next year.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well.
So now what they've done is now foreign teams can start negotiating.
The way they're looking at it, though, he could be the difference between them getting in the playoffs and not getting in the playoffs. So they're probably saying to him, "Give us a year, and if we get into the Premier League, will you sign a new deal?" Maybe that's the case of. But
Blackburn are serial bottle jobs. Serial bottle jobs. I mean, the fifth now.
I hope they come back. I think they're one of those teams that the Premier League has missed since they've been away, type thing.
I think just northern teams, full stop. I miss having northern.
No, I just miss the teams that were mainstays in the league for 15, 20 odd years. Blackburn were one of them. Sunderland were one of them.
Birmingham,
Leeds were for the most part.
Stoke, Bolton.
No, I don't miss Stoke.
No,
I do miss Bolton. I'm going to admit that, but that's just like nostalgic for the Allardyce era, because
what was it?
Bolton were never really anything.
Did they not have Piero as well?
Yeah. It was. They had that period where they just went and signed just old players who were world class, who were just looking to wind their careers down. I know a few years ago we went to an evening with Guillaume Balaguer at Everton, me and Terry. This was about 4 or 5 years ago, and he had two guests with him. He had the editor of Marca, whatever it's called, that magazine in Spain. I think it's the biggest one. He had the editor of that, and he had Hierro. And Hierro said he was like 34, 35 when he signed for Bolton. He said, my contract ran out at Real Madrid, and I had a choice. I either could retire or I could go play for a much lesser team. And I spoke to my agent and said, rather than going to some team like Levante or Eibar in La Liga, he said, no, if I'm going to stay and play another year at a lower team, I want it to be in England. I want to play in the Premier League. And he basically got his agent to put the feelers out for him. And Bolton came in and made him an offer, and he said he just jumped at it. He said, I want to just go and spend my final year in England, even if it's for a team that's down the bottom. And he asked him, so what was it like playing under Sam Allardyce? And he just burst out laughing. He was speaking Spanish, and he had like a translator translating for him. He said, what was it like when you got to Bolton and played under Sam Allardyce then? And he just started like laughing, putting his head in his hands. And he said, Sam is a very, like in Spanish, we got translated. He said, Sam is a very, very British manager. And I realised that straight away. But Sam was nothing like any other manager that I've ever worked with in Spain. Basically, Sam was a very British manager.
Yeah, it is weird when you look at some of the teams in the Championship, though. Even like Bolton and Portsmouth are in League One, bloody.
I wouldn't mind if Portsmouth came back. Portsmouth, I think, were one of those teams who at least they offered something when they were here. They would have good away day, and they were different. Do you know what I mean?
It's like if you look at the Premier League table now, and 10 years ago I said to you, in the Premier League, there'll be Brighton, Brentford, and Bournemouth.
I'd said piss off, no chance. Yeah.
You'd look like even Southampton at that point 10 years ago or a bit. They'd been there before, but they'd plummeted down.
Yeah, they were in League One at one point, weren't they?
Wolves, I think, were League One as well 10 years ago. Leeds were League One about 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
That when they had their drop, it's
Yeah.
especially
Blackburn, Blackburn, Sunderland, Portsmouth, Bolton. They're all clubs who I sort of miss in a weird way, and I'd like it if they came back, especially Blackburn and Sunderland, because they're clubs with history.
Do you know what they remind me of?
Want it? Who?
Sometimes I'll get through a thing where I go on YouTube, and do you remember the season reviews at the end of the season where it'd go month by month?
Yeah.
There's a few of them I think there's quite a lot of them, from the seasons, and I'll go back and watch the one from 2008, and you'll see the teams in, and you'll like Birmingham.
I love watching all games from that era.
Yeah, when football was good, type thing. But it's one of them. Like you miss these certain clubs, but who misses the likes of Wigan? And who misses Burnley now that they're gone? Like when they go out the league, you don't miss them, and I don't miss Norwich and West Brom. They're kind of up and down every year, aren't they? But I'm not bothered when Norwich and West Brom are not in the league, and I don't ever want to see the likes of Wigan or Burnley ever again.
I miss Wigan a little bit, like early Wigan, like when it was like dual, not the Martinez Wigan.
Yeah, they were endearing, like they were so like crap, but it was sort of like at least they had some spirit about them. Do you know what I mean?
Like the Jewel and Bruce teams were all right at Wigan. It was just when Martinez took over and it went.
Yeah, it's when they tried. It's when Wigan tried to be something they're not. Yeah,
Paul Jewell's the one who got sacked by Wigan, went to Derby, and then had a sex tape leaked, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, and he had the worst ever season in the history of the league with Derby.
I've heard him say in an interview when he was on his way to Derby for the interview, like the job interview with the chairman. Derby's last game before they sacked their previous manager was against Everton at Goodison, and he said David Moyes, who he was mates with, called him up on the phone when he was in his car driving to the stadium to meet the chairman, and he didn't know that Paul Jewell was on his way there. But he said, "Hello, Paul. I've been reading that apparently you're getting linked with the Derby job. I just want to say to you, mate, do not take that job. We've just played them at Goodison, and they are going down easily." David Moyes was saying to him, "Whatever you do, if you get offered that Derby job, do not take it, because we've just played them and they're absolutely rubbish." And Paul Jewell said, "I just said, okay, David, okay." And then he just carried on, went for the interview, and he said, "What I wish I could do, I just wish so much I'd listened to Moyes and turned the car around and not gone."
Well, I watched a video on it. I think it's by T4 Football. They did it. And it was a team of championship journeymen, not even good championship players. They just got a good run of form, latched onto it, and made it.
Playoffs.
And it's just like...
They spent a lot of money, didn't they, to try and stay up, which was a mistake. They said they probably should have just spent a lot of money, so when they actually got relegated, they didn't have any money to try and rebuild with, because they kind of bet the barn on staying up. And they said maybe in hindsight we shouldn't have spent that money in January, because they were bottom of the table in January, and they went out on a spending spree trying to make a good fight of it type thing. They said, looking back now, we probably should have just realised we're going down. Let's just conserve everything and try and rebuild, and maybe come back in another year or two when we're a bit more better prepared. He said, but we ended up saying no, we owe it to the supporters to have a really good go here. Let's just spend 20 million on signing. 20 million back then is like what 50-60 million is now, isn't it? Let's just spend all the money we've got on buying a few players and hope they can make a difference. And they would probably worse after that, because they had no spirit.
It's just pure journeyman. It's like there's players like Kenny Miller, Robert Earnshaw, bloody Robbie Savage, and then you go up the list a bit more. There's a 95-year-old Alan Stubbs, Danny Mills, Lauren Robert, and you just look at it and go...
Remember him, yeah. He was a winger from Newcastle. He used to score the odd belter, didn't he?
Yeah. You just look at him and you go...
He was kind of like the closest player that could, like... He's similar to, like, Billy at Everton.
Billy Leptonov, yeah.
Oh, what a player.
So other ones as well. When Sunderland went down in the Premier League, their squad was absolutely dreadful looking at it. Like, do you know when Moyes was just basically signing every ex-player he had? Like, he signed like a fat Lescott. He signed, Pienaar, whose legs are completely gone. He signed Anichebe, who'd been in West Brom's reserves. We sold him to West Brom, and he had a good start to West Brom, Anichebe, but by the time Sunderland came and got him, he was like not even getting anywhere near their team anymore. And he signed there was someone else as well. He signed Darren Gibson and Oviedo in the January from us, didn't he? And Darren Gibson was, as we said, was a player with Darren Gibson was a player with ability, but by that point his career it was well and truly got on the way down, wasn't it? Yeah, and he signed Oviedo. It was Jack Rodwell. I think they signed Rodwell before Moyes. They signed him from City. I think it was Oh, who was that Dutch guy, Dick Advocat? Who was there? I think it was Advocat who signed Rodwell.
Was it not at bloody Sunderland where Darren Gibson did the car crash?
Yeah.
And they had a... was that the Adam Johnson season as well? Or was that season before?
No, it was the season after. The Adam Johnson season was when Sam Allardyce was there. That season he came in as the firefighter and saved them.
Yeah.
And then Allardyce took the England job in the summer and Moyes came in to replace him. And Moyes basically got told he had no money and just went and got bargain bin players, if there ever was one. He went and got basically every ex-Everton player who he could get for cheap, which included like a really old and slow and past-it Lescott, a really old and slow past-it Pienaar, not an old Anachibi, but just an Anachibi who was not at the level at all anymore. Yeah, was barely a Premier League player even when he was young. He definitely wasn't a Premier League player by the time he went to Sunderland. He wasn't even getting in West Brom's team anymore, like I said. And he signed a couple of others. Then when they were in the bottom three, came and took Oviedo and Darren Gibson from us in the January, who weren't getting any minutes under Koeman. And Oviedo was a decent player. Oviedo was belonged to the team that was good enough to play in the Premier League. But Darren Gibson hadn't played for Everton in about 6 months prior to us selling him because he was just his lifestyle. Yeah, he was well and truly on the way down. And by the time he got to Sunderland, I think he must have hit rock bottom because he's gone from United and playing in the Champions League, a step down to Everton, which was we were still like a top 6 team when we signed him, top 6, top 7, and then from Everton he's gone to Sunderland, who were in the relegation zone and going down to the Championship. His career's just nosedived, and then by the time he's got to Sunderland, he's just his drink problems have got out of control, haven't they? And he's ended up having that car crash and having that video where he's in the pub, drunk out of his skull, arguing with Sunderland fans.
Oh yeah, it's mental.
I don't know where he is now. I think he got sacked by Sunderland, didn't he? I don't know whether he retired or what. But
yeah, he's got to be now.
I know he signed for Salford like 2 years ago. Salford in League Two, they gave him like a contract, but I don't know where he is. He did get a contract with Salford, I think, who were in League Two.
Witten, he's at Withenshaw Amateurs right now.
So yeah, he's playing Sunday League basically. He's probably just playing football to stay somewhat fit, isn't he? But it's sad because he was a player who 100% had ability. Ferguson believed in him. Ferguson gave him a lot of chances at United, and he probably got more chances than he deserved at Everton. And Sunderland, I would have sacked him when he was at Sunderland. I would have sacked him when that video came out of him arguing with supporters and kind of airing all the dirty washing. He was in a pub with Sunderland fans. Like the summer they went down, the summer where they were going to be in the Championship, starting the Championship, he was in the pub after a pre-season game against Celtic where they got battered 5-0. And he was drunk out of his skull, and he was arguing with Sunderland fans who were all saying, like, why is the club so toxic, blah, blah. And he's in there saying, oh, well, this player doesn't want to be there, and this player's only there for the money. And someone says to him, goes, what about you? He says, what do you mean, what about me? And says, well, we've just been battered today, 5-0 in pre-season, and but you didn't play today. Everyone said you weren't fit enough to start, but you're fit enough to be in here having a drink at 2 o'clock in the morning, pissed out your face. And he then starts trying to fight the guy. It's getting recorded on a mobile phone. He starts trying to fight the guy who kind of tells him straight, says, you can't turn around and say, these players aren't committed when you're in here at 3 o'clock in the morning getting drunk when we've just been battered earlier on today. And I'd have sacked him over that, but I think the manager, I think it was Chris Coleman, ended up giving him like another chance, and then he ended up blowing that. He went and got drunk and ran over a cyclist.
Yep. Right. Anyway, tangent.
We'll wrap it up.
Anyway, enough for one night. Yeah, enough stories. It's 11:20. It doesn't look like anything's going to get announced. If anything does get announced, it's not going to be tonight.
As soon as this finishes, watch.
Yeah. So
on that note,
right,
time for
we'll
bed.
call it a night, boys. It's been a laugh. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in as well. Anyone
who's still here, listening to us rambling.
Anyone who's still stuck it out and listening to us talk about Sunderland and God knows what. Thanks for sticking it out with us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for bringing your comments in, of course. Give us a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching on the Toffee Blues.